Chapter 3147. That's right. No matter how I think about it, only this person's death will make Linny sad, and we won't get into any trouble. Flying Cat nodded. Otherwise, killing any of the women around Lin Yi will cause great trouble. Only this old man's death will be fine. So, I suggest that we kill this old man. Oh, since he's just a country bumpkin, can we just send any golden class expert to deal with him? Old Ancestor Yellow Spring said indifferently. That won't do. Flying Cat shook his head. I'm afraid that what if Linny goes back? That's true. In that case, San and I will personally go and kill this old man first. Then, we'll wait for Lin Yi to come and die. Originally, Old Ancestor Yellow Spring was also very worried about going to the secular world to deal with Lin Yi. After all, the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect was different from the ancient sections. There was no such thing as revenge in the assassin group. Once they accepted the task, they would either kill or be killed. If the assassin group also participated in the revenge, it would be a mess. However, because Lin Yi was a rogue cultivator and Lin Yi didn't have any influence when they investigated him, the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect chose to retaliate. However, this was done secretly. If it was done in the open, the other ancient sects wouldn't be happy. If the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect came to kill me, and I was lucky enough not to be killed, would you send endless people to continue killing me? This obviously went against the original intention of the task and broke the rules. The blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect was not allowed to act in the secular world. This was not only a rule of the ancient level, but also a promise that the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect was forced to make. This promise was also a promise to the assassin group in the secular world. They would never cross the boundary of the world of assassins and would never touch the secular world. Although it sounded a bit funny, the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect was like a high and mighty ancient sect. How could they compromise with a secular assassin group? Yet, they compromised. There was no other reason but because the biggest assassin group in the secular world was one of the two ruthless people who swept through the ancient level. Mr. Yang, one of the dual fiends of Vajra, was in charge. When he faced Mr. Yang, Blood Robes and Yellow Spring Sect's master, the king of assassins in the cultivation world, had no choice but to lower his head and follow Mr. Yang out of Blood Robes and Yellow Spring Sect. Although the departure of the king of assassins in the cultivation world was known throughout the ancient times, no one knew that Mr. Yang was the king of assassins in the secular world. This was the inside story of the assassin industry. Without Mr. Yang's permission, the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect would attack. He didn't dare to make it public. What's more, this wasn't something to be proud of. An assassin organization in the cultivation world bowed down to an assassin organization in the secular world. This was simply an unimaginable fantasy. Even though those two ruthless men had disappeared for more than a decade, they were still able to survive. Moreover, the other ancient and hidden planes had also begun to gradually forget about the negative influence brought by these two ruthless people. However, it would be best if they could get rid of Linny without breaking the promise of the past. After all, in the hearts of Yellow Spring and Blood Robes, the two ruthless dual fiends of Vajra had already cast a shadow over them. The West Star Mountain village was remote and basically couldn't be considered as the secular world. Killing Lin Yi's relatives there and then attracting Lin Yi to kill Lin Yi wouldn't be considered breaking the promise of the past. Why don't let blood-clothed ancestor take action? You and him are both experts at the peak of the late stage of Heaven stage. Even if Lin Yi is strange, the three of us together will be able to kill Lin Yi. Gloomy Ancestor suggested cautiously. All right, blood-clothed ancestor is about to come out of seclusion. It's a good time to relax and kill some people. Ancestor Yellow Spring pondered for a moment and nodded in agreement. If that's the case, it'll be hard for Lin Yi to not die. Gloomy Ancestor laughed sinisterly. Heavenly Elixir Sect. Kong Ming came up with a plan and looked for Little Peach again. On the surface, Little Peach didn't seem to notice anything and still looked forward to being with Kong Ming in the future. However, in her heart, she was already completely disappointed in Kong Ming. Brother Kong, you asked Little Peach to come because that matter has been confirmed? What do you need Little Peach to do? Little Peach asked very enthusiastically. It's like this. This time, There's a very good opportunity to arrange for you to go to Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company and become Kong Xiaobo's secretary. Kong Mingming said, previously, Kong Xiaobo's secretary resigned. Currently, the company is recruiting, but they need a certain understanding of pharmacology. And you meet this requirement. You have professional research on medicinal herbs and pharmacology. I believe that this position will not be difficult for you at all, because a secretary is also a servant, and you are also the servant of the young master in Heavenly Elixir Sect. So, these things will be easy for you. Originally, Kong Mingming was still thinking about how to send Little Peach to Kong Xiaobo's side and let her get close to Kong Xiaobo. He wanted to use some tricks, but he didn't expect such an opportunity to suddenly appear in front of him. This made Kong Mingming inexplicably happy. This was simply tailor-made for Little Peach. Actually, some time ago, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was in a crisis, and the secretary beside Kong Xiaobo, because of his poor foresight, felt that Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company would not be able to recover. So, he submitted his resignation letter. Because Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was in a bad situation, Kong Xiaobo didn't hire a new secretary until Lu Jingyan's first-grade automatic cauldron was sold, and Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was back on the right track. Fatty Lai and Kong Xiaobo heaved a sigh of relief, and then they started to hire again. They replaced the employees who left when the company was in a crisis, and one of them was Kong Xiaobo's secretary. This created a good opportunity for Kong Mingming. He effortlessly sent Little Peach away. He didn't even need to make up a story. Okay, then I'll go apply for the job now. But how do I apply for leave from the young master? Little Peach quickly nodded and asked, then, does that mean I won't be taken advantage of? That won't work. Haven't you heard of this saying? If the boss doesn't have anything to do, the secretary does. If you don't get taken advantage of, then how can you get close to Kong Xiaobo and make him trust you, so that you can steal the technology of the first-grade automatic cauldron? Kong Mingming shook his head and said, it's okay, I won't despise you. Just treat it as you sacrificing yourself for me. Little Peach, don't worry. Chapter 3148. Peach, on the other hand, treated it as a joke. Her face didn't change at all. Then, would Xiaobo be interested in someone like me? He is a big boss. What kind of woman hasn't he seen? How can he like me? This is not necessarily true. My cousin has a special hobby. The women he likes are different from others. He even likes the cripple, let alone you. When Kong Mingming said this, he suddenly realized that he had made a slip of the tongue. He quickly explained, Little Peach, of course, I'm not saying that you are not good-looking. You are a talented woman with inner beauty. I believe that Kong Xiaobo will discover this when the time comes. You don't have to worry. As long as you are willing to put in some effort, you can definitely get him hooked. Okay, then I'll try. Little Peach nodded. If it was before, she would definitely be angry when Kong Mingming said this to her. But now, Kong Mingming was just a passerby in her eyes. There was nothing to be angry about. Remember, no matter what, you must please Kong Xiaobo and get the information. Kong Mingming said, only when we get the information can we be together in the future. Otherwise, Master will definitely not allow me to marry a second wife. And I got it. Little Peach despised in her heart. Even if I get the information, Patriarch Xianxin will not agree to let me be your concubine. If that's the case, then you go and prepare. Then, I will ask Master to inform the young sect master. I believe that with Patriarch Xianxin, the young sect master will not obstruct us for such a small matter. Kong Mingming said, Brother Kong, then I'll go first. Little Peach nodded. Looking at Little Peach's back as she left, Kong Mingming's mouth flashed a sneer. It just so happens that I don't know how to deal with Little Peach. This time, I can give her to my brother who likes to pick up used shoes. TSK, it's really a bargain for Kong Xiaobo. I haven't even touched Little Peach, but with her trashy looks, even if I touch her, I won't be interested. After Little Peach left, she immediately went to Tian Chan's room. She told Tian Chan everything that Kong Mingming had told her today. Tian Chan frowned slightly. In that case, Patriarch Xianxin and Kong Mingming wanted to deal with Lin Yi. They wanted to obtain the manufacturing information of first-grade automatic medicinal cauldrons from Lin Yi. Sure enough, He hadn't let Little Peach feign ignorance for nothing. He had actually obtained such an important piece of information. Should he warn Lin Yi? However, after pondering for a moment, Tian Chan gave up on this idea. Firstly, she wanted to inform Lin Yi at this time. It was easy to be exposed. Secondly, what identity should she use to inform Lin Yi? And, most importantly, Little Peach had already betrayed Kong Ming. Therefore, Tian Chan didn't have to worry that Little Peach would really betray Lin Yi, so she nodded and said, "I understand. You can leave first. I will think of a way." "Okay, young master." Little Peach knew that Tian Chan wouldn't harm her, so she left with peace of mind. After Little Peach left, Tian Chan suddenly said, "Tian Dai, come in." A black shadow floated in from the window. It was Tian Dai. "Young master." Tian Dai's face was cold, and she said respectfully to Tian Chan, "Tian Dai, go investigate the information about Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, Kong Xiaobo, and then come back to me immediately." Tian Chan ordered Tian Dai. "Yes, young master." Tian Dai replied and disappeared again in the blink of an eye. Not long after Tian Dai left, there were footsteps outside Tian Chan's door. If Tian Chan didn't hear wrongly, the person who came was Ancestor Xinshan. She didn't expect Ancestor Xinshan to come in person. This was a great honor, and it also showed Ancestor Xuanshan's determination to send Little Peach out. If Ancestor Xinshan had casually greeted Tian Chan previously, it was possible for her to refuse. But now that Ancestor Xinshan had come in person, if Tian Chan refused again, it would not only arouse suspicion, but Tian Chan wouldn't be able to resist Ancestor Xuanshan's anger. After all, the reason why the entire Heavenly Elixir sect could become the leader of the ancient sects was not only because of alchemy, but also because of the support of the Five Elements sect. Without the support of the Five Elements sect, the Heavenly Elixir sect was just a small alchemy sect, and it was impossible for it to grow so quickly. Therefore, whether from the perspective of public or private, Tian Chan couldn't refuse. "Sky Silkworm transformation. What are you busy with?" Under Little Peach's guidance, Ancestor Xinshan smiled and walked into Tian Chan's room. Behind him was Kong Ming. "Sky Silkworm transformation greets Uncle Master Xinshan." Tian Chan hurriedly greeted. "May I know why Uncle Master Xinshan has come here personally? If you have any errands, just call me over." Actually, it's not a big deal." Ancestor Xinshan shook his head and smiled. "Isn't it because of me, his son-in-law? I think you know about the matter between him and your maidservant, Little Peach. Although he married my daughter, he still has Little Peach, his first love, in his heart. At first, I was against it. Naturally, I didn't want my daughter to snatch a man from another woman. However, I don't know what Xiaoming told my daughter, but she actually agreed to let him take a concubine and let Little Peach become his concubine. Since my daughter has said so, as a father, it's not good for me to be a villain. So, it's better to fulfill their wish. Anyway, my daughter is willing, so I can't say anything, right?" Tian Chan naturally didn't believe Ancestor Xuanshan's nonsense, but on the surface, she had to pretend to be very surprised. "Is that so? So that's how it is." "Uncle Master, what do you mean?" "Well, Xiaoming has nothing to do recently. I asked him to bring Little Peach home to visit his family. It might take a while, so I specially came over to tell you to take a leave," Ancestor Xinshan said. "Anyway, you have a maidservant, Tian Shi, now. You don't need Little Peach, so there's no problem, right?" "Of course there's no problem. Since Uncle Master Xinshan has spoken, and the person involved is also willing, I can't stop it." Tian Chan smiled and said, "We are an ancient sect, and we still have the customs of ancient times. Polygamy is within reason, and in my eyes, it is very normal. Even I am like this, so how can I ask my subordinates to do it?" After all, the image of Tian Chan in the outside world was that she was elegant and had many women, so there was no problem with her words. However, these words were purely for Kong Ming to hear. Chapter 3149. "Thank you, young master." Kong Ming quickly cupped his fist and said. He didn't expect Tian Silkworm to be so easy to talk to. She agreed without stopping him at all. But thinking about it, his father-in-law was here in person. How could Tian Silkworm, as a junior, not give him face? Ancestor Xianxin was very satisfied. He thought that he would have to spend a lot of time talking. He didn't expect Tian Chan to be so reasonable. However, Ancestor Xianxin considered the problem from the perspective of Tian Chan being a girl. Now, it seemed that Tian Chan's personality had become more like a man after years of disguise. Therefore, Ancestor Xianxin didn't suspect anything and left with Kong Mingming. High-quality update. After Ancestor Xianxin left with Kong Mingming, only Tian Chan and Little Peach were left in the room. Tian Chan said, "When the time comes, go to Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company and do what you need to do. You can build a good relationship with Kong Xiaobo, but you don't have to seduce him. You don't have to care about what Kong Mingming said to you. Just do your job. As for the information, don't think about it for now." "Yes, young master," Little Peach quickly agreed. To be honest, if she didn't have to sacrifice her body, Little Peach would be very willing to go to the secular world to see the world. After all, she had lived in the heavenly elixir sect since she was a child and had never been exposed to the outside world. Although she wouldn't complain, who wouldn't yearn for those new things? If possible, Little Peach would be very willing to go to the secular world. High-quality update. Tian Dai was very efficient. That night, a piece of information about Kong Xiaobo was sent to Tian Chan. Blood Cloak Underworld Sect didn't use some high-tech methods, but Tian Dai didn't rule out the possibility that Tian Dai wouldn't use it. There were many reports about Kong Xiaobo and Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. As for Kong Xiaobo, she would know more or less after asking his former classmates. When Tian Chan saw that Kong Xiaobo was Lin Yi's first follower, she couldn't help but be surprised. She didn't expect Kong Xiaobo and Lin Yi to have such a relationship. Kong Xiaobo was Lin Yi's follower, and Little Peach was her maid. If Little Peach really followed Kong Xiaobo, it wouldn't be a loss. Suddenly, Tian Chan realized that she was thinking too much. Why did she suddenly think of these messy things? This made Tian Chan's face slightly hot. Fortunately, there was only Tian Dai in the room. Tian Dai worshipped Tian Chan blindly. She wouldn't think that there was anything wrong with Tian Chan, nor would she doubt Tian Chan's matters. This Xiaofan is a woman that Kong Mingming dumped in the past, and she jumped off a building? A cripple too? Tian Chan was a little surprised this Xiaobo was too much of a love, falling for Fawn. As for the matter of Xiao Fan's leg recovering, Tian Chan didn't find it strange. She fell down the cliff and was about to die, but Lin Yi still saved her. A leg wasn't a problem for Lin Yi. High-quality update, however. These matters also made Tian Chan come to a conclusion. Kong Xiaobo was a good person. This made her feel at ease about Little Peach's matter. After asking Tian Dai to leave, Tian Chan called Little Peach over again. "Young sect master, you were looking for me?" Little Peach didn't know why Tian Chan called her over so quickly. Kong Xiaobo is a good person. If possible, he is a good choice. Tian Chan said faintly. Even Tian Chan herself didn't understand why she said this. Just to find an identity illusion? Little Peach was stunned. She didn't expect Tian Chan to say this. "Young sect master, you." "Nothing. This is Kong Xiaobo's information. Take a look. I just think that if you stay in the heavenly elixir sect, you will be killed by Kong Mingming sooner or later. Staying in the secular world is an opportunity," Tian Chan said, and put a stack of information in front of Little Peach. "Young sect master, I don't want to leave you. Don't chase me away, okay?" Little Peach was shocked and quickly said, "Who said I want to chase you away? I just want you to stay in the secular world. Maybe one day I don't want to be the young sect master anymore. Maybe I will go to you. At that time, you can still see me," Tian Chan said. "You should understand what I mean." I understand." Little Peach was slightly stunned. Then, she remembered that Tian Chan was a woman. So, in the future, the Heavenly Elixir sect must continue the family line, but Tian Chan couldn't. She could only take over Tian Chan's position and then give birth to a new young sect master. However, Little Peach would never think that Tian Chan's idea was just because Kong Xiaobo was Lin Yi's little brother. Well, take a look at this information. You can also understand Kong Xiaobo and have a response. Tian Chan nodded and said, "Okay, young sect master." Little Peach picked up Kong Xiaobo's information. This information was very detailed. From when Kong Xiaobo was in the same class as Linny in school, to the conflict with Kong Mingming's family, to attending the birthday banquet with Xiao Fan, avenging Xiao Fan, and then becoming the vice CEO of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. Everything was written clearly. Actually, when Tian Shan first got this information, she also felt that it was very magical. Lin Yi was actually a student? Moreover, from the information, Lin Yi seemed to be unable to go against the secular houses. The secular house you already made Lin Yi very afraid, let alone the hidden houses. However, in a short period of less than a year, he grew to such a level. It was really unbelievable. From a golden class master to a sky class master, he used less than a year? Tian Shan suddenly felt a sense of defeat. She and Bingtang were the top prodigies in the ancient world. Other than people like Zhang Naipeo who used extreme methods to train, people like them who didn't use medicinal pellets to break through to sky class were very rare. Even so, they used more than 10 years, unlike Linny who stepped into sky class in less than a year. Before, Tian Shan still felt that her position and Lin Yi's were too far apart, and they wouldn't have the chance to be together in this lifetime. But now that she looked at this information, Tian Shan's heart was suddenly filled with anticipation. If Lin Yi was given a period of time, the ancient world would no longer be an obstacle for Lin Yi. Just like the former noble house level and the hidden level, they would all become the stepping stones for Lin Yi to rise to the top. And at that moment, even the Shinshin old ancestor wouldn't be able to pose a threat to Lin Yi. Now Tian Shan also understood why the Shinshin old ancestor was so afraid of Lin Yi. In time, they probably wouldn't be Lin Yi's opponent anymore. Chapter 3150. Because according to Tian Shan's research, Lin Yi was the most powerful existence in the same level at every level. It was a very easy thing for Lin Yi to fight against enemies of a higher level. If Lin Yi was promoted to the peak of the late stage of Heaven stage, would he become the number one in the world? The number one person under the heavenly Tao. This was not a joke, it was very possible. Of course, Tian Shan omitted this information and did not give it to Little Peach. The information that Little Peach looked at was basically about Kong Xiaobo, and there were only a few pieces of information about Lin Yi. Kong Mingming. So he is such a bad person? Little Peach looked at the information, her eyes full of anger. Previously, she was fascinated by Kong Mingming, but now it seemed that she was too stupid. Little Peach, you finally saw through him? Tian Shan shook her head and said, Kong Mingming is a person who is blinded by greed. When he first joined the Heavenly Elixir sect, I felt that this person's nature was not good, but seeing that you like him, I didn't say much. Now it seems that you and him did not continue to develop, otherwise you will still suffer in the future. One day, if Kong Mingming meets a stronger backer, he can also get rid of Little 11 and old ancestor Shinshin. Sigh, young sect leader, thank you for reminding me. Otherwise, I would have thought that Kong Mingming was forced to do this. Little Peach sighed. She did not expect that her beautiful first love would end so cruelly. In the future, she would also learn to be smart and not easily trust others. All right, you pack up and go to Xiaobo's company. Xiaobo's a nice guy. If he likes you, I'll be happy to meet him. If he likes you, you will have a good marriage. Tian Shan had a good impression of Kong Xiaobo. Besides, how bad could Lin Yi's little brother be? Moreover, truth be told, Tian Shan's other goal was to get in touch with Lin Yi through Little Peach and Kong Xiaobo. Since Kong Xiaobo was a really good person, and the ancient sect didn't pay much attention to the first wife and second wife, Tian Shan felt that Kong Xiaobo was a good person. This was a good home for Little Peach. Little Peach was stunned. She didn't expect that Tian Shan would ask her to get in touch with Kong Xiaobo. Little Peach was not a person who couldn't tell right from wrong. When she saw Kong Xiaobo's introduction, she knew that Kong Xiaobo was a good man. Compared with Kong Mingming, they were like heaven and earth. It would be a lie to say that Little Peach did not have a good impression of such a man. However, Little Peach had just suffered an emotional setback. Let her walk out of the shadow and start another love. It wasn't easy. At least, she was a little disappointed and didn't dare to fall in love. Young sect leader, I want to serve you for the rest of my life. I don't want to get married. Little Peach hesitated and said, hee hee. If you can be with Kong Xiaobo, maybe in the future, you will still be by my side. Tian Chan smiled mysteriously. Ah, what do you mean? Young sect leader, do you also like Kong Xiaobo? Little Peach was slightly stunned. Tian Chan suddenly had black lines on her forehead. I don't like Kong Xiaobo. Okay, don't ask. Quickly pack up and report to me if there's any news. Oh, okay. Young sect leader, Little Peach nodded and went to pack her things. After the baptism of ups and downs in Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company, a portion of the employees who were uncertain about the company resigned and went elsewhere. As for those who were loyal to the company, Fatty Lai and Kong Xiaobo raised their positions and salaries accordingly, making them happy for their choice. Little Peach, with her excellent theoretical knowledge and well-educated image, successfully overcame all obstacles and became Kong Xiaobo's new secretary. As for the new secretary, Kong Xiaobo was very happy. Even Fatty Lai was jealous. Fatty Lai's secretary was also someone who got in through connections, and he also resigned this time. However, Little Peach applied for the position of vice president's secretary and not the CEO's secretary, so Fatty Lai couldn't take her away. So, on the first day of the recruitment, Little Peach immediately took up the position. Her strong professional knowledge made Kong Xiaobo look at her in a different light, and he started to rely on her more and more. As for Little Peach's successful promotion, Kong Mingming was very excited, especially when Kong Xiaobo trusted Little Peach more and more. Kong Mingming felt that the day when he got a first-grade medicine cauldron was not far away. Because of Tian Chan's first impression, Little Peach's impression of Kong Xiaobo was very good. In the company, because she was only responsible for Kong Xiaobo, she was in contact with Kong Xiaobo every day, and this made Little Peach pay more and more attention to Kong Xiaobo. However, what made Kong Mingming disappointed was that the information Little Peach sent back had nothing to do with first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons, and the work and financial reports that Kong Xiaobo handled every day had nothing to do with first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons. Either the processed first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons weren't handled by Kong Xiaobo, or the first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons weren't produced by Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company at all. As Little Peach became more and more trusted by Kong Xiaobo, she came into contact with more and more core secrets of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. She even came into contact with some of the raw materials and production costs of products such as painkillers and injury medicine, but there was not a single bit of information about first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons. Of course, the information Little Peach reported was filtered by Tian Chan. Tian Chan would always pass some information that seemed precious, but was actually useless to Little Peach to pass to Kong Mingming. For example, there were many raw materials for injury medicine and painkillers, but Tian Chan picked out a few of the most common raw materials and asked Little Peach to tell Kong Mingming so that Kong Mingming wouldn't suspect anything. As for the information about first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons, Little Peach really didn't get it. It wasn't that she purposely hid it. After a period of investigation, Kong Mingming gradually lost his patience. After all, he also guessed that first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons weren't produced by Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, but by Houselu? Now that he thought about it, it was really possible. Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was just a name. After all, first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons were electronic devices, while Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company produced medicinal materials. After Kong Mingming's investigation, Houselu did own an electronic company. It used to produce computer parts, but now it changed to making first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons. It was possible. Chapter 3151. Thinking of this, Kong Mingming no longer placed his hopes on Little Peach. However, he did not withdraw Little Peach. In his opinion, the further Little Peach went, the better. It would be better if she was no longer by his side. In this way, he would not be annoyed if he did not see her. It would save him the trouble of causing Ancestor Xianqin and Little 11 to misunderstand. It had to be said that Kong Mingming was a vicious person. Next, Kong Mingming decided to infiltrate the Liu family's electronics factory. After all, the Liu family's factory was not a monolithic entity. It was very easy to bribe one or two workers. Kong Mingming was familiar with using money to bribe people. Now, he was even more skilled at it. He quickly found a foreman of the electronics factory whose mother was ill and whose family was short of money. He asked him out and met him in a small cafe. Foreman Su, I want to ask you a few questions. As long as you answer truthfully, this 10,000 yuan is yours. Kang Xiaoming pointed at the bag on the table and said, Of course, if I'm interested in your answer and you want to continue helping me, then the 500,000 kuai in this box is also yours. To be honest, 10,000 yuan was not very tempting for Chief Foreman Su. After all, his monthly salary was several thousand yuan. 10,000 yuan was not enough for him to sell the company's core secrets. However, there were only a few problems, so Chief Foreman Su nodded. What he was most interested in was the box of 500,000 yuan. If he could get his hands on this box of money, Chief Foreman Su would be able to perform surgery on his bedridden mother. Therefore, Foreman Su nodded without hesitation. What do you want to know? I want to ask you, is the first-grade automatic medicine cauldron produced by your electronics factory? Kang Mingming was very satisfied with Foreman Su's answer. Of course, this was also because before he found Foreman Su, he had done a detailed understanding of Foreman Su. He knew the difficulties of Foreman Su's family. Therefore, he was so confident to put out so much money. Otherwise, if he failed, he might expose his target. In the future, if Linny was on guard, it would be difficult. First-grade automatic medicine cauldron? Chief Worker Su was slightly taken aback. What is that? Kang Mingming furrowed his brows when he saw Foreman Su's expression. Was he wrong? This first-grade automatic medicine cauldron wasn't manufactured by the Liu family's electronics factory? Kang Mingming furrowed his brows. He reluctantly took out the undamaged first-grade automatic medicine cauldron from his backpack and asked, Take a look. Are you sure this thing hasn't been produced before? You mean this? Isn't this an electric cooker? Su Changgong pointed at the thing in Kang Mingming's hand and said, This is produced. Is that what you're asking about? Electric cooker? Kang Mingming was speechless. He nodded and said, It's this pot. Are you still producing them? Yes, it's still in production, but this pot is made of titanium alloy. The production process is more complicated and the output is lower. It's also very troublesome to assemble. For this electric cooker, we've updated many of our production lines, and the technicians have undergone new training. Chief Worker Su said, Mr. Kong, is this what you want to know? That's right. This 10,000 is yours. Kang Mingming let out a sigh of relief. It seemed like his guess was right. The first-grade automatic medicine cauldron wasn't produced by Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, but by House Liu's. It seemed like Little Peach's move was wasted, but it didn't matter. He could just treat it as an excuse to send her away. Worker Su's face revealed a relaxed expression. He took the 10,000 yuan from Kang Xiaoming and asked, Excuse me, what do I need to do next to get this 500,000? Collect information, Kang Mingming said. As long as you can get me the production process and information for this electric cooker, this 500,000 is yours. After Foreman Su heard this, he suddenly hesitated. He was indeed the foreman, but he was only in charge of one of the processes. He wasn't the foreman of all the processes. He knew the production process and information of one of his processes, but it didn't mean that he knew the production process and information of all the production lines. I can only give it a try. The production process and information for the production line I'm in charge of are fine, but I'll have to collect the rest slowly. Chief Foreman Su hesitated for a moment before he said, Of course, there's also the cost of treating you to a meal. You also know that if you want to know these secrets, unless the foreman of the other production lines have a slip of the tongue after getting drunk, or if they've forgotten to put the documents in a place where they can be easily reached, it'll be very difficult to meet your requirements. You mean, this 500,000 isn't enough? Kang Mingming understood what Chief Worker Su meant. This 500,000 is my reward. Other than that, I also need 100,000 to treat you to a meal. Chief Worker Su hesitated and said, Sure, no problem. Kang Mingming nodded. He waved to a 5-element sect disciple beside him and said, Go get another 100,000 and give it to Chief Worker Su. Yes. The disciple nodded and went to do his job. As for Chief Worker Su, a satisfied smile appeared on his face. After finishing this job, he would take his mother far away. The surgery would cost $200,000, and the remaining money would be enough for him to hide his identity and start a small business. After giving the 610,000 to chief worker Su, Kong Ming left his contact information and left quietly. He didn't want to stay in the secular world for too long. If he was discovered by Lin Yi's people, it would be troublesome. Now that chief worker Su was helping him secretly, Kong Ming could save himself a lot of trouble. All he had to do was watch the changes behind the scenes. These days, Lin Yi lived a comfortable life. During the day, Su Shihan and Cheng Yi would practice singing upstairs, while Yushu would sit in the living room and watch TV or go upstairs to watch Su Shihan and Cheng Yi's performance. Although she looked happy, Lin Yi could see the sadness in the depths of her smile. Lin Yi could guess that Yushu was worried about her future, and that Meng Yao's departure had taken a toll on her. She wasn't as playful and happy as she used to be, and that happiness was just a facade. According to the information they had just inquired, Old Lin's residence was on the edge of the village, in a small independent courtyard closest to the back mountain. Although they didn't understand why Old Lin would live in such a remote courtyard, it was better this way. It was convenient for them to kill. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fun if the neighbors were alarmed. Therefore, the Yellow Spring ancestor and the other two went all the way west and arrived near Old Lin's house. Is he asleep? Or is he not home? Why is there no light? Ancestor Blood-Clothed looked at the house not far away with some doubt. It's normal for country people to sleep early. Let's go and have a look. It's just an old man. He can't run away. It doesn't matter even if we alert him. Ancestor Yellow Spring waved his hand and said indifferently. Ancestor Blood-Clothed nodded and walked to Old Lin's house with Ancestor Yellow Spring and Ancestor Eerie Woods. Chapter 3153. However, what surprised him was that in the courtyard, in the middle of the courtyard, there was a man sitting at a table with his back facing the door. He was quietly holding a glass of wine while admiring the moon, and there was a plate of fennel beans on the table. You're here? I've been waiting for you for a long time. Lin Dongfang did not turn around. He raised the glass in his hand, drank it in one gulp, and threw a fennel bean into his mouth. Lin Dongfang's words stunned Patriarch Netherworld, Patriarch Bloodcloak, and Patriarch Eerie Woods. What was going on? Why wasn't Old Lin afraid? 3 people intruded in the middle of the night. Instead of turning around to ask what was going on, he said, I've been waiting for you for a long time. What did he mean? Are you Old Lin? Patriarch Netherworld looked at Lin Dongfang and did not sense any aura of a cultivator, so he was a little puzzled by Lin Dongfang's arrogance. Could it be that this old man had something to rely on? Oh, you can call me that. Of course, you can also call me Senior Lin, Lin Dongfang said lightly. The food at the entrance of the village is delicious, right? You know about it? Patriarch Netherworld looked at Lin Dongfang's back in disbelief. He subconsciously became a little vigilant. Who was this person? How did he know that they were here and eat at the entrance of the village? The village is so small. Of course, I know what's going on. Didn't you ask about me during the day? Lin Dongfang smiled and said, You're here to see me, right? See you. Patriarch Netherworld was slightly stunned and immediately breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out that this old thing thought that the 3 of them were here to see him. No wonder he was so calm. He was almost scared to death. Thinking of this, Patriarch Netherworld was extremely angry. He immediately shouted, Old thing, we're not here to see you. We're here to take your life. Not here to see me? I think the 3 of you are sick. Lin Dongfang didn't seem to hear old ancestor Yellow Spring's last threat. Instead, he said to himself, You're the sick one. Patriarch Eerie Woods pointed at Lin Dongfang and said, Old man, I might as well let you die knowing. Do you know? Your grandson has stirred up trouble outside. Big trouble. He killed several experts from our Bloodcloak Netherworld sect. I'm here for revenge. If you die, that grandson of yours will be heartbroken and continue to come here to die. It seems like you guys are really sick. If you weren't sick, why would you break the rules and come to the secular world to kill people? Lin Dongfang regretfully shook his head and said, I think you guys are hopeless. Even a miracle doctor like me can't save him. It seemed that, I can only send you to your deaths. Nonsense. Ancestor Bloodcloth was also very angry, but he just said 3 words. The 4th word came to an abrupt halt, as if a fishbone was stuck in his throat. Because, when Ancestor Bloodcloak said this, Lin Dongfang was just about to turn around. Under the moonlight, Patriarch Bloodcloth looked as if he had seen a ghost. He was so scared that he almost fell to the ground and peed his pants. As of this moment, his mind was completely blank. How could he ever have imagined that the person sitting in front of him would be the same person he had met all those years ago? Previously, Ancestor Bloodcloak had a bad premonition, but he was also afraid that this operation would be discovered by the Vajra Fiend duo. However, he never thought that he would encounter the Vajra Fiend duo on this trip. At this moment, the rumors that the Vajra Fiend duo had fallen became a fleeting cloud. Ancestor Bloodcloak trembled all over as he looked at the person in front of him. He was so nervous that he could not speak. Of course, Patriarch Netherworld and Patriarch Sinister Forest were also so scared that they stood rooted to the ground like wooden chickens. Quick! Run! Patriarch Netherworld's reaction was faster. When he saw Lin Dongfang's expression, he knew that things were not good. If he stayed here, he was afraid that he would die here tonight. After saying that, Patriarch Netherworld turned around and was about to leave. However, he heard Lin Dongfang's indifferent voice. Run? Do you think you can run? Although the words were spoken calmly, it made Patriarch Yellow Spring, who was about to flee, come to an abrupt halt. He stopped awkwardly on the spot. We're not running. Why would we run? If you're not running, why did you turn around? Lin Dongfang asked calmly. I was just performing a turn. Patriarch Netherworld was so scared that he did not know what to say. He was a dignified great perfection expert at the peak of the late stage of heaven rank. Now, in front of Lin Dongfang, he was so scared that he did not even dare to speak for fear of saying the wrong thing. On the other hand, Ancestor Bloodcloak and Patriarch Sinister Forest were not much better. The medical patriarch's face had already turned pale, and Patriarch Sinister Forest was even more unbearable. His whole body was trembling as if he had been electrocuted and was dancing disco. Are you performing a breakdance for me? Turning around and getting electrocuted? Lin Dongfang looked at the 3 people in front of him and asked calmly. Yes, that's right. We specially choreographed a dance. Patriarch Sinister Forest was more quick-witted. When he heard Lin Dongfang's question, he took advantage of the situation and went straight to the point. Back then, we admired the heroic appearance of the Killer Vajra duo. We could not forget them for a long time. After so many years, when we have time, we choreographed a dance for the Killer Vajra duo that we admire the most. Lin Dongfang looked at Patriarch Sinister Forest with a faint smile. He did not expose him. He just nodded and asked calmly, My Lin-yi, did he offend you? No, he did not. How could he have offended us? Patriarch Sinister Forest said, So young hero Lin-yi is old Mr. Lin's grandson. I was wondering why young hero Lin was so powerful. At such a young age, he was already a heaven rank expert and could even fight against an opponent of a higher rank. When I thought that he was old Mr. Lin's grandson, it was not surprising. Oh, his master is the other one of the Killer Vajra duo, Lin Dongfang said. Patriarch Sinister Forest immediately broke out in a cold sweat. One of the Killer Vajra duo was definitely in existence that could not be offended. Since Lin-yi was that person's disciple and old Mr. Lin's grandson, if he really wanted to deal with Lin-yi, then the Bloodcloth Underworld sect would probably no longer exist, right? Thinking of this possibility, Patriarch Sinister Forest felt a lingering fear. Haha, indeed. A great teacher produces a great disciple. Like I said, we have always been optimistic about young hero Lin. Don't talk about useless things with me. Tell me what happened exactly. Lin Dongfang waved his hand and interrupted Patriarch Sinister Forest's words. Tell me everything about you and Lin-yi. Chapter 3154. Let me explain. Old Ancestor Yellow Spring smiled bitterly. He knew that today was either a blessing or a curse. Even if it was a curse, he would not be able to avoid it. Hence, he simply listened to whatever Lin Dongfang said. He nodded and said, "Old Mr. Lin, in fact, the matter is like this. The grudge between young hero Lin and the Bloodcloth Underworld sect started with a contract to hire assassins." As he spoke, old ancestor Yellow Spring told Lin Dongfang about the grudge between the Bloodcloth Underworld sect and Lin Yi. He did not dare to hide anything or add fuel to the fire. He even told Lin Dongfang about their plan and purpose this time. That was because these things could not be hidden from Lin Dongfang. Instead of being stubborn and denying, it was better to tell the truth and fight for leniency. Oh, in other words, if the person sitting here was not me, he would have been killed by you today, right? Lin Dongfang asked after listening. This old ancestor Yellow Spring nodded helplessly. You can say that, haha, well, at least you're honest. Lin Dongfang didn't blame him, nor did he get angry. He just nodded calmly. The world of practitioners is a place where the strong prey on the weak. I understand what you're saying. So, this matter between you and Linny ends here. I don't want you to target Linny in the future. Of course not. How can we target young hero Linny again? Unless we don't want to live anymore. Old ancestor Bloodcloth spread his hands and said, not knowing whether to laugh or cry, "Good. Let's just forget about this matter." Lin Dongfang's words made old ancestor Yellow Spring and the other two heave a sigh of relief. However, Lin Dongfang's next words made them nervous again. However, shouldn't you give me an explanation for coming to this secular world to kill people without permission? After listening to Lin Dongfang's words, the three of them could not help but look at each other helplessly. They were wondering how Lin Dongfang could let this matter go so easily. Now, it seemed that this was Lin Dongfang's backup plan. Old Mr. Lin, how do you want to punish us? Bloodcloak Ancestor sighed and said, as long as you don't exterminate our Bloodcloak Underworld sect. What are your conditions? What are your punishments? Just tell me. It was not that Bloodcloak Ancestor was belittling himself, but Lin Dongfang really had the ability to destroy the Bloodcloak Underworld sect. It was just that they did not know that Lin Dongfang needed the spring water. He couldn't leave the West Star Mountain village for too long, so he still thought of Lin Dongfang as the Vajra double demons of the past. In the beginning, Mr. Yang Ming told you that if you step into the secular world, he will destroy your Bloodcloth Underworld sect. You haven't forgotten this sentence, right? Asked Lin Dongfang. No. Patriarch Blood-Clothed bit the bullet and replied, all right. Since there isn't, then I hope that you will keep your promise. Lin Dongfang said as he slowly stood up. Patriarch Bloodclad, Patriarch Yellow Spring, and Patriarch Eerie Woods broke out in a cold sweat. Hearing Lin Dongfang's words, he almost fell to the ground. Were they going to be exterminated? Were they really going to be exterminated? They regretted it. They really regretted it. If they hadn't been impulsive and came to deal with Old Man Lin, then they wouldn't have caused the current situation. Sigh. Why did they have to become enemies with Lin Yi in the first place? It wasn't that the Bloodcloth Underworld sect didn't have any casualties. When they assassinated the masters of other ancient sects, there were also casualties. Of course, whether it was the Bloodcloth Underworld sect's people who died or were assassinated, there wouldn't be any grudges between them. If the Bloodcloth Underworld sect's assassins died, it could only be said that their skills weren't good enough. If you went to kill others and others killed you, then you only have yourself to blame. If other masters were killed by the Bloodcloth Underworld sect, then don't blame the Bloodcloth Underworld sect. After all, the other party was paid to do it, and he was just an executor, not the mastermind behind the scenes. If you want revenge, go find the mastermind. Now, the Bloodcloth Underworld sect wanted to kill Lin Yi because they thought that Lin Yi was a loose cultivator, a soft persimmon that they could take revenge on at will. But who would have thought that not only was Lin Yi not a soft persimmon, but he also had a strong background? Thinking of this, the three of them had the urge to cry. With such a strong background, who would dare to touch you if you announced it to the outside world? Even in the entire ancient sect, you are an existence that can do whatever you want, right? But you insisted on hiding it. Now, our Bloodcloth Underworld sect has kicked an iron plate. It's simply a trap. That, old Mr. Lin, I heard that young hero Lin likes to take in underlings and is currently recruiting some underlings in the ancient era. What do you think about our blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect joining young hero Lin? Patriarch Erie Woods suddenly had an idea and thought of a good way to protect the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect. According to the investigation of the Bloodcloth Underworld sect's intelligence team, some of the underlings around Lin Yi were his former enemies. However, Lin Yi was a very tolerant person. If these enemies didn't make any big mistakes and they sincerely joined him, then Lin Yi could still accept them. Therefore, Ancestor Insen made this request. His purpose was to hope that Lin Dongfang would let them go. In this way, they would be Lin Yi's underlings. They were all on the same side. How could he let his own people kill his own people? Recruiting underlings. Your current level is too high. He can't recruit you yet. Lin Dongfang's words made the hearts of the Bloodcloth ancestor and the other two cold at the same time. However, Lin Dongfang's next sentence did make them feel relieved. However, seeing that your Bloodcloth Underworld sect still has some use, I can reluctantly accept you on behalf of Little E. The three of them were overjoyed after hearing this. They looked at each other and cupped their fists at Lin Dongfang at the same time. Bloodcloth Underworld sect, Bloodcloth, Underworld, and Insian. Greet old master. I hope you are sincere. Otherwise, I will personally destroy you. Lin Dongfang said lightly. Of course, he was just scaring these people in front of him. He couldn't really leave the West Star Mountain village. We are definitely sincere. The Bloodcloth ancestor and the other two were shocked and quickly responded. In fact, they were indeed sincere. After all, Lin Dongfang's prestige back then had been deeply rooted in their bones. They didn't dare to have any rebellious thoughts. Back then, the Vajradul fiends could easily destroy a great perfection expert at the peak of the late stage of Heaven stage. Now, after so many years, Lin Dongfang's strength had reached a terrifying level. Therefore, the Bloodcloth ancestor and the others didn't dare to lie at all. That's good. Lin Dongfang nodded. Leave your contact information and then go back. Chapter 3155. Yes. Ancestor Eerie Forest quickly gave a contact card to Lin Dongfang and said respectfully, Old Master, this is my contact method. As long as you can contact me, you can find Ancestor Bloodshirt in Ancestor Netherworld. Lin Dongfang took the contact card, glanced at it, and then put it on the table. He said, Okay, you can go. Okay, but, Old Master, if I may ask, you are so powerful and Master Lin Yi is your grandson, the disciple of Mr. Yang. But why didn't he say it out? As long as a little news is leaked, who in the cultivation world won't give face? Ancestor Netherworld asked with some confusion. As far as I know, Master has a lot of enemies. Although every time there was a scare without danger, this is a bit too. Haha, Yomi, do you want to ask me why I let Lily be outside and not interfere? Lin Dongfang knew that the blood-clothed underworld sect would have this question sooner or later. If he didn't solve this question well, they wouldn't think much at the time, but they would definitely have doubts later. If they guessed the truth or something similar, it wouldn't be what Lin Dongfang wanted to see. Therefore, Lin Dongfang had already thought of an excuse. Yes, old master, master is outside. Let's not talk about the threat from our blood-shirt underworld sect. Even the ancient Dongfang family and the everyday sect are enough for master to deal with. Why didn't you intervene? Netherworld nodded and asked in confusion, Do you think that if I intervene in everything, Little Yi's growth can still be so fast? What Lin Dongfang said was a mixture of truth and lies. 30% true and 70% false. After all, he had discussed with Yang Ming, Mr. Yang, and Mo Kong before that Lin Yi wanted to grow. He couldn't have too many external forces to rely on. In the beginning, Mo Kong also did a divination for Lin Yi. Only if Lin Yi was allowed to develop on his own would he get more opportunities. It was just that this way, Lin Yi would encounter many unpredictable dangers, but in the end, it would be more daunting than dangerous. Man-made external factors could only appear 3 times a year. This way, it would not interfere with Lin Yi's normal life trajectory. Once it happened more than 3 times, Lin Yi's life trajectory might deviate. This was also the reason why Mo Kong had set the rule that he could only take action 3 times a year. Of course, this helps. It was only limited to those of the older generation. Gooden and the other underlings of Lin Yi. They were Lin Yi's own circle of friends and forces, which were cultivated by Lin Yi himself. It had nothing to do with external forces. Only by allowing Lin Yi to develop freely would he be able to obtain even more unexpected opportunities. As for these opportunities, they were the most important conditions to break the trap from back then. As for letting Lin Yi undergo even more cruel tests, it was only a minor detail. The most important reason was for the group of people who left back then. Now it seemed that Lin Yi's development was just as Mo Kong had calculated. Almost all the inheritors had become Lin Yi's people. These people would be a powerful help for Lin Yi to break the trap. Without the help of these people, Lin Yi would never be able to reach that level of cultivation and network. However, these things couldn't be told to the people of the Blood Cloak Underworld sect. So Lin Dongfang avoided the question and threw a rhetorical question. This shouldn't be. After a slight pause, Old Ancestor Netherworld figured out the key to this. How could a flower growing in a greenhouse reach its current height? If everything was settled by the people behind the scenes, Lin Yi would probably have no pressure now. How would he have the motivation to level up? How could he step into the heaven stage from the yellow stage in less than a year? Thinking of this, Old Ancestor Netherworld couldn't help but admire Lin Dongfang and Yang Ming's courage. How much courage did it take to throw a junior into the secular world and let him develop freely? No wonder the master can grow so fast. Blood Cloak Ancestor also nodded in agreement. Of course, if there is a situation that we can't solve, we will take action. Lin Dongfang's next sentence made Blood Cloak Ancestor and the other two break out in a cold sweat. A situation that really can't be solved? Does that mean that the three of us will kill Lin Yi? Thinking of this, the three of them were really shocked and scared. If they really went to deal with Lin Yi, then the three of them would probably be corpses now, right? Lin Dongfang was still better. The one surnamed Yang was a madman. If he took action, he probably wouldn't even have the chance to plead for mercy and become an underling. He would probably die directly. Haha, in the future, with us three underlings here, the old master doesn't have to take action personally. In this cultivation world, there are few things that the three of us can't solve together. Blood Cloak Ancestor quickly patted his chest and promised, "Yeah, the old master can live in seclusion here with peace of mind. The three of us are still enough to run errands." Old Ancestor Netherworld also nodded quickly. "After I go back, I will completely reorganize the intelligence department and pay attention to the news of the young master." Elder Ghastly Forest also said quickly. Lin Dongfang pondered for a long time. He finally nodded at the proposal of the three and said, "Okay, but don't interfere with Little Yi's growth too much. You can pay attention, but don't take action, unless there is a danger that you have to take action as a last resort. However, you must inform me immediately after the matter." Of course, it was possible to inform in advance, but it would delay things. Sometimes the danger was fleeting. If you delayed some time to inform, the danger might have already happened. Therefore, Lin Dongfang gave the three the authority to act first and report later. Of course, Lin Dongfang didn't reject the proposal of the three. As Lin Yi stepped into a higher level, having these three people to help him keep an eye on him would make Lin Dongfang less worried. After all, although he had a lot of channels, one more person was always one more strength. "Thank you for your trust, old master." The three of them didn't feel that there was anything wrong with being able to help Lin Dongfang. Back then, Ancestor Mad Leopard of the Everyday and Everyday sect was proud to be Lin Dongfang's underling. He swaggered around everywhere he went. In fact, they were very envious of him. Chapter 3156. However, they were still very happy that Lin Dongfang gave them the right to act first and report later. At the very least, it showed that Lin Dongfang treated them as his own people instead of trying to deceive them. Of course, from their point of view, there was no need for Lin Dongfang to feign civility with them. If Lin Dongfang wanted to kill them, it would be a piece of cake for him to do so. It was already an honor for him to entrust them with this task. Lin Dongfang glanced at the ancestor of Netherworld and warned, I hope you will keep my presence a secret. Before little he grows up, I don't want news of me to spread. He doesn't know what happened to me in the past. Patriarch Yellow Spring nodded and asked carefully, Don't worry, old master. We won't say anything. We won't do anything unless it's absolutely necessary. On the surface, will we still maintain our relationship with Little Master? There's no need for that. Find a reason to resolve the grudge between you two first so that he won't worry. Old Man Lin also hoped to reduce the pressure on Linny a little. After all, Linny was under too much pressure now. Old Man Lin was afraid that he wouldn't be able to hold on. If it was someone with poor mental fortitude, they would have gone crazy. Okay, we know what to do. The ancestor of Netherworld quickly responded. All right, you guys go. If there's anything, you can contact me. Old Man Lin gave his phone number to the ancestor of Netherworld. I don't have a business card. You can write it down. I've memorized it. The ancestor of Gloomy Woods had already taken out his notebook and wrote down Lin Dongfang's phone number. He was a little excited. This was a heavenly pathmaster. In the future, the Bloodcloak Netherworld sect wouldn't be a sect without a backer. Their backer would be a heavenly pathmaster. This was an existence even more powerful than the Five Elements sect. If Lin Dongfang and Yang Ming were to go together, the Five Elements sect and the Everyday sect would be finished. Old Ancestor Yellow Spring, Ancestor Bloodcloak, and Ancestor Eerie Forest left without a sound. Old Man Lin couldn't help but smile bitterly as he watched them leave. Today's matter could be considered both good and bad. He could not stay away from West Star Mountain Village for a long time. This was a fatal weakness. Fortunately, only the Bloodcloak Underworld sect knew that he was here. Otherwise, the more sects that knew, the more likely Lin Dongfang's matter would be exposed. Being exposed. This wasn't a good thing. If everyone speculated that Lin couldn't leave the West Star Mountain Village, then those sects that had suffered losses in the past would vent their anger on Lin. Unless Lin also returned to the West Star Mountain Village to avoid trouble, he would probably have enemies all over the world. Therefore, Lin Dongfang had also considered this aspect. That was why he strictly ordered the Blood-Clothed Yellow Spring sect to keep it a secret. Old Ancestor Netherworld, Old Ancestor Shui, and Old Ancestor Eerie Forest left the West Star Mountain Village. The three of them sat on the grass by the roadside and breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, the sky gradually brightened. The three of them panted heavily with lingering fear in their hearts. Old Ancestor Shui, it seems that your premonition and guess were right. Who would have thought that the old master would come here to live in seclusion? Old Ancestor Netherworld smiled bitterly and said while wiping the cold sweat on his forehead. Sigh. I said it casually at that time. What's more surprising is that Lin is the old master's grandson and Mr. Yang's disciple. Aren't we courting death by trying to kill Lin? Old Ancestor Shui sighed and said helplessly. By the way, how can we resolve the grudge with Master Lin? Eerie Forest Ancestor suddenly thought of an important point. Lin Dongfang wanted them to find an excuse to resolve the grudge. But how could they resolve it? Why don't we go to East Ocean City and talk to Master Lin? Old Ancestor Netherworld suggested. How should we say it? Will Master Lin suspect our purpose? Old Ancestor Shui frowned and said, Patriarchs, I have a good idea. Eerie Forest Ancestor rolled his eyes and said, We can tell Lin that the person who hired us back then was Zhao Qibing. Everything was caused by Zhao Qibing. We want to take revenge on Zhao Qibing, but Zhao Qibing is a disciple of the Dark Palace now, so it's not appropriate for us to do so. If we can ask Master Lin to talk to Palace Master Chu Mingyao of the Dark Palace and ask her to teach Zhao Qibing a lesson, that would be great. Oh, that's a good idea, but can Master Lin help us? Old Ancestor Netherworld Ancestor nodded and asked, I think it's 80%. After all, we can promise him something. For example, if he needs Old Ancestor Shui's help, we can help him. Eerie Forest Ancestor said, This way, not only will we have a reason to help Master Lin, but he won't be suspicious. Eerie Forest, I realize that you're quite smart. Old Ancestor Netherworld Ancestor heard, and immediately felt that Eerie Forest Ancestor's idea was very good. He nodded and said, Very good this way. We also have a reason to help Lin Yi. Eerie Forest Ancestor breathed a sigh of relief. You flatter me, old ancestor netherworld ancestor. This can be considered as me making up for my mistake. No, not only did you not make a mistake, but you also made a great contribution. If it wasn't for the fact that we were too slow in our investigation and delayed our attack on Master Lin Yi, once we really went to kill Lin Yi, whether the old master arrived or not, or whether Master Lin Yi was dead or not, we would die for sure. Old ancestor netherworld ancestor waved his hand and said, "This is a great contribution." That's right, Eerie Forest, you've saved us this time. From now on, you're no longer a servant. You're the third brother of Shui Yi, and you've officially become a high-level member of Shui Yi's Yellow Spring sect. Old ancestor Shui Yi nodded and said, "Thank you for your guidance, old ancestor. In my heart, you two will always be my masters." Old ancestor Shui Yi said gratefully, "No, our current master is Lin Yi. Don't make a mistake and let the old master misunderstand. It won't be good." Old ancestor netherworld ancestor said, "From now on, we'll all be master's subordinates, so it's the same." "Yes," Eerie Forest ancestor quickly replied. After the three of them agreed, they set off for East Ocean City. Of course, they were afraid that a long delay would cause trouble. After all, Lin Dongfang's position in their hearts was like a death sentence. Chapter 3157. They were afraid that they could not get Lin Yi's forgiveness. Then, they would be in an awkward situation. At that time, it was hard to say whether Lin Dongfang would still recognize them as his little brothers. Therefore, they rang the doorbell of Lin Yi's villa with an extremely perturbed mood. With guests coming to the door, Lin Yi stopped circulating the art of dragon mastery, got up, left the room, and walked to the door of the villa's courtyard. However, when Lin Yi walked to the door and saw the three people outside the villa, his eyes suddenly froze. In his heart, there were raging waves. Among the three people outside the door, there were two experts with great perfection strength at the peak of the late stage of heaven stage, and one expert with great perfection strength at the peak of the late stage of heaven stage. What kind of combination was this? In the ancient times, they were existences that could run amok. How could they appear at the door of his house? What was the purpose of these people? "Excuse me, who are you looking for?" Lin Yi asked calmly. Since these three people did not barge in but politely rang the doorbell, although Lin Yi was secretly on guard, he still asked very politely on the surface. "Excuse me, is this the residence of Lin Yi, young hero Lin?" Blood Robe Ancestor asked carefully. This question made Lin Yi's eyelids twitch involuntarily. Young hero Lin? These were experts with great perfection strength at the peak of the late stage of heaven stage, and they called him young hero Lin? Was there something wrong with them? At this moment, Lin Yi was really stunned. Where did these three come from? Seeing Lin Yi's stunned expression, Ancestor Yellow Spring could not help but glare at Blood Robe Ancestor. He naturally understood that Blood Robe Ancestor was too infuriating, which made Lin Yi suspicious. He coughed, pointed at Lin Yi, and asked sternly, "Boy, you are Lin Yi, right?" "That's me." This time, Lin Yi was even more puzzled. What were these three people doing here? Why was one so polite, and the other so arrogant? Old Ancestor Yellow Spring finished speaking. Glancing at Ancestor Eerie Woods, Ancestor Eerie Woods naturally knew that he, the mediator, had appeared. He coughed twice and said to Lin Yi, "Lin Yi, right? These two are the ancestors of our blood-clothed underworld sect. One has a good temper, and the other has a bad temper. Blood-clothed netherworld sect?" Lin Yi asked. His expression immediately changed as he looked at the three people in front of him in astonishment. As for having a good temper and having a bad temper, he had experienced it before. These three were his greatest enemies. They should have started fighting the moment they arrived. Why were they standing here and talking so much with him? Could it be that the temperament of experts was a little strange? Not bad. Old Ancestor Eerie Woods nodded and said, "We, the blood-clothed underworld sect, may have had some misunderstandings with Mr. Lin Yi. We are here today to resolve this misunderstanding." Resolve the misunderstanding? Lin Yi couldn't figure it out. What were these three people trying to do? If it wasn't for Lin Yi's golden finger that could see the strength of these three people, he would have thought that these three people were big liars. However, which peak late-stage heaven-stage great perfection expert would have the time to pretend to be a liar? And there were two of them at the same time? Even the remaining peak late-stage heaven-stage expert wouldn't be in the mood to pretend to be a liar, right? Not bad. Mr. Linny, aren't you going to invite us in? Ancestor Eriewood's tone was neither good nor bad. He just said indifferently, "All right, please come in." Lin Yi took a deep breath. If it was a blessing, it wouldn't be a curse. If it was a curse, it couldn't be avoided. With the strength of these three people, Lin Yi couldn't run away even if he wanted to. He wasn't their match even if he wanted to resist. So Lin Yi simply wanted to see what they were going to do. Now it seemed that although these three people's attitude wasn't very good, they didn't do anything excessive. So Lin Yi also calmed down. Seeing that Lin Yi was still so calm after knowing their identity, Ancestor Yellow Spring couldn't help but admire him. As expected of the descendant of the killer Vajra duo, his mentality was so strong. How would he know that Lin Yi had the attitude that it was a blessing, not a curse? Ancestor Yellow Spring, Ancestor Bloodcloak, and Ancestor Eriewoods walked into Lin Yi's villa. At this time, Yushu hadn't returned from school yet. Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi were practicing singing upstairs and rarely went downstairs during the day. So, only Lin Yi and Bloodcloak were left in the living room. "Mr. Lin Yi, before, there was some misunderstanding between us. You killed a few of our people, right?" Ancestor Eriewood sat down and asked. Both Ancestor Yellow Spring and Ancestor Bloodcloak weren't very good at pretending, and Ancestor Eriewoods had some ability, so among the three of them, he spoke on behalf of the others. "Yes, but it was your people who wanted to kill me first, so I was forced to fight back." Lin Yi couldn't figure out the purpose of these three people here, so he didn't hide it and told the truth. After all, these things could be investigated even if he didn't say it, so it was better to tell the truth. "Oh, we know. We have no hatred with Mr. Lin Yi. The reason why we assassinated Mr. Lin Yi was because we received a mission, so we came to assassinate Mr. Lin Yi." Ancestor Eriewood said, "As the saying goes, we take people's money to eliminate disasters. This is our original purpose." "I understand, and I don't blame you." Lin Yi nodded. He had also trained in the secular world's assassin group, so he naturally understood the rules of the assassin world. In this matter, there was no right or wrong, so he naturally couldn't blame the assassins. Every injustice has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. Whoever wants to kill me, I will settle the score with them. "That's right." Ancestor Eriewood slapped his thigh and said, "Mr. Lin Yi is really a smart person. It's so easy to talk to Mr. Lin Yi. Mr. Lin Yi understood us at once." "You came here just to say this?" Lin Yi looked at Ancestor Eriewood strangely. "Of course not. We have already sent out Heaven Stage experts, but they are no match for Mr. Lin Yi, so we have decided to give up this plan." Ancestor Eriewood said, "Although we were wrong in the first place to assassinate Mr. Lin Yi, Mr. Lin Yi also killed many of our people. How about we just let this matter go?" "Just let it go?" Lin Yi couldn't believe his ears. There was such a good thing? The assassin group couldn't kill people, and they still wanted to make peace? Moreover, he didn't have the confidence to escape from any of these three. How could they just let it go? "Yes, I don't know what Mr. Lin Yi thinks." Ancestor Eriewoods nodded and asked, Of course I don't have any opinion, but are you really sincere?" Lin Yi felt that this matter was a little strange no matter how he looked at it. Chapter 3158. Of course. In fact, we can see that Mr. Lin Yi has great potential, so we don't want to be enemies with Mr. Lin Yi. Eriewood's ancestor nodded. "Of course, you might have guessed that since we are the ancestors of the blood-clothed underworld sect, then we should be at least at the peak late-stage heaven rank, right?" "That's right." Lin Yi nodded. This was what puzzled him the most. It should be easy for these three to kill him, so why did they talk so much? In fact, the ancestors of the blood-clothed underworld sect won't easily take action. This is the rule. The employer gives us a limited amount of money, and we can only send a mid-stage heaven rank expert at most. We can't trouble the ancestors with this amount of money. Although killing you might be as easy as lifting a finger, we won't do it, because every profession has its rules, and we can't break them. Ancestor Eerie Woods explained. On the contrary, our employer gave us false information, causing our blood-clothed Yellow Spring Gate to suffer heavy losses. We want to take revenge on our employer. We seriously suspect that our employer is trying to trick us on purpose. Many of these rules were made up by Eerie Wood's ancestor to gain Lin Yi's trust. Of course, what he said was reasonable, so Lin Yi really believed them. Otherwise, Lin Yi really couldn't figure out why these three were here. Who is your employer? Who hired you to kill me? This was the question that Lin Yi wanted to know the most. This employer is an old acquaintance of yours. Eerie Wood's ancestor said, actually, we think that you are a young expert with unlimited potential, so we want to make friends with you. That's not important. Our blood-clothed underworld sect also has young talents. This time, we personally came here to ask for your help. Teach this employer a lesson, or else we won't be able to swallow this anger. Why? This employer has a great background? Even you guys don't dare to deal with him? Lin Yi was stunned. That's not it. Eerie Wood's ancestor waved his hand. We are an assassin organization after all. It's not good for our reputation to deal with the employer. Moreover, we only suspect that the employer is cheating us. We don't have any evidence, so it's not good for us to act. Besides, he's currently a disciple of an ancient sect. It's not good for us to attack an ancient sect's disciple. Hefty. A disciple of an ancient sect? Lin Yi immediately didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Do you think that the ancient sect that you all fear? Do you think I have a way to deal with it? Of course there is. That's why we're here. Otherwise, do you think you have enough face to make the two of us patriarchs act like this? Together with me, the housekeeper, to look for you? Ancestor Eerie Woods asked. Oh? Who is your employer? Lin Yi couldn't help but have some doubts. Zhao Qibing. Insen said, he's currently a disciple of the Dark Palace. If we were to deal with a disciple of the Dark Palace, it would cause a conflict between the ancient sections. Mr. Lin Yi doesn't have to worry about that. As far as I know, the current master of the Dark Palace, Ming Yao, is Mr. Lin Yi's woman, right? Lin Yi was just about to say that Ming Yao wasn't his woman, just a good friend, but suddenly remembered Yao Yao's confession before she left. She should be his woman now, so Lin Yi nodded. So it's Zhao Qibing. The question that had been bothering Lin Yi for a long time was finally solved. He was wondering how he managed to provoke the Bloodcloak Underworld sect. It turned out that they weren't looking for trouble on purpose, but were asked to do so by someone else. With this, Lin Yi's hatred towards the Bloodcloak Underworld sect faded away. The assassin organization worked for money, and the culprit was Zhao Qibing. What's in it for me to do this? Lin Yi thought about it and asked back. Although he knew that he was asking a tiger for its skin, since Elder Sinister Forest had explained so much before, it all boiled down to one thing. They wouldn't touch Lin Yi now. That was why Lin Yi had the guts to ask. Punish him and avenge our blood-clad Yellow Spring sect. Consider it as giving us face. Our blood-clad Yellow Spring sect owes you a favor, and we will definitely return it. Owe me a favor? Lin Yi thought about it. This was a business that could only be profitable. Ming Yao would definitely punish Zhao Qibing without saying anything, so it meant that the Bloodcloak Underworld sect owed him a favor. This was a good thing, and so, Lin Yi nodded. All right, if that's the case, it's a deal. Straightforward. The Yellow Spring ancestor nodded as well. I like straightforward people the most. All right, this matter is settled. The three of us won't disturb you any longer. We'll be leaving now. Leaving just like that? Lin Yi was taken aback. He didn't expect the three of them to really come here for this matter. They were leaving right after. That's right. The purpose of our trip is to ask Mr. Lin Yi to help us punish Zhao Qibing. We've been established for so long, and we've never been played like this by our employer. It's a scam. The Yin Sen ancestor said angrily. All right, I'll tell Ming Yao. Lin Yi nodded. Take care. All right, you don't have to send us off. We'll be leaving now. The Ensign ancestor said, and followed the Yellow Spring ancestor and Bloodcloak ancestor out of Lin Yi's villa. They really didn't stop and left immediately. Looking at their backs, Lin Yi frowned. What happened today was really a little strange. The Ensign ancestors' words seemed very reasonable, but Lin Yi felt that with their status, there was no need for them to do this to him. Why did they come to visit him personally? Was it really because of Zhao Qibing? Thinking about it, if they wanted to deal with Zhao Qibing, they could just tell the Palace of Darkness and owe them a favor. There was no need for them to come here and waste their time, right? However, if it was because the current master of the Palace of Darkness was Meng Yao, and they tried to assassinate him before, so they were afraid that Meng Yao wouldn't give them face. This was also possible, so they came to him to be the middleman. This was the only possibility that Lin Yi could think of. However, since the three of them weren't hostile, Lin Yi was relieved. From the beginning to the end, Lin Yi's jade didn't give any warning. This proved that these three really didn't want to kill him. Perhaps they really didn't want to deal with him. Chapter 3159. After leaving Lin Yi's villa, the Netherworld ancestor, the blood-clothed ancestor, and the Ensign ancestor did not rush to leave Donghai City and return to the blood-clothed underworld sect. Instead, they planned to stay here for a while and have a comprehensive understanding of Lin Yi. In other words, they had now become Lin Yi's underlings. How could they not know their master? At the very least, they had to know who Lin Yi's current enemies were, and who were the friendly sects and other underlings. For those enemies, the blood-clothed underworld sect would be suppressed to death if there was a chance. For the friendly sects and underlings, they must be clear, lest the flood rushed against the Dragon King Temple, and the family did not recognize the family, so they decided to stay and investigate more. Ensign, you let the people of the intelligence team quickly enter Donghai City and start investigating the master's affairs. We must know ourselves and the enemy, so as to help the master and live up to the old master's trust, said the Netherworld ancestor. Okay, I know, I will call now. The Ensign ancestor nodded and went to call the people of the intelligence team to come over. Dongfang family, Dongfang Jinxing, today, received an important piece of good news, that is, the Purian Heavenly Master of the Everyday and Everyday sect came out, and the Pure Young Heavenly Master had already given a reply that he could deal with Lin Yi together with Dongfang family's Dongfang Yinxing. Therefore, Dongfang Jinxing rushed to the door of Dongfang Badeo's room, knocked on the door and said, "Father, second brother, there is great news." "Jinxing, come in." Dongfang Badeo said, "What's so exciting?" "Father, the Pure in Heavenly Master of the Everyday and Everyday sect has come out. Just now, their Pure Young Heavenly Master has contacted me and can join us to kill Lin Yi." Dongfang Jinxing said excitedly, "This time, Lin Yi will die." "Oh, the Everyday and Everyday sect can make a move?" Dongfang Badeo pondered for a moment and said, "Let's cooperate with them this time. When I and Yinxing become masters of the great perfection one day, we can make the Everyday and Everyday sect pay some price." "Father, you agree for me to help?" Dongfang Yinxing was also very excited. He had been prepared to kill Lin Yi before, but because he was afraid of Lin Yi's ability to jump ranks and kill enemies, he didn't dare to go alone. This time, he had the Pure in Heavenly Venerable, two-peak late-stage heaven rank powerhouses. Even if Lin Yi had 3 heads and 6 arms, he wouldn't be able to kill Lin Yi. This time, he was dead for sure. "Yes, with Pure in Heavenly Venerate accompanying you, I can naturally rest assured that you can go. Otherwise, that brat Lin Yi is really too strange. He can jump realms and instantly kill experts much stronger than him. This really makes one have no choice but to be on guard." Dongfang Badeo said, "If it weren't for the Everyday and Everyday sect, I would definitely let you put down this hatred for the time being. After all, we have lost a lot of our backbone. If something happens to you, our Dongfang family will really decline. At that time, even more ancient aristocratic families and sects will surpass us. The losses outweigh the gains." "Is that brat Lin Yi so powerful?" Dongfang Yinxing frowned, apparently disapproving. "Don't underestimate the enemy." Dongfang Badeo waved his hand and said, "That Lin Yi. He can live until now and hasn't been killed by the enemy. He still has his own uniqueness. We must not underestimate the enemy too much, so as not to overturn the boat in the gutter. Yes, Dongfang Yinxing quickly responded, but in his heart, he still underestimated the enemy a little. He felt that Lin Yi was just a small, early-stage heaven-rank master, and it was impossible to be as powerful as him. Remember, if Lin Yi is really strong and things can't be done, then put down the hatred and quickly escape back. Don't show off. Dongfang Badao exhorted. I know, father. I will be careful. Although Dongfang Jinxing said so, his words were full of perfunctory, which made Dongfang Badao frown slightly. His son was not as steady as Dongfang Jinxing. Although his strength was there, he was still very impulsive in doing things. Dongfang Jinxing was very obedient, which was why Dongfang Badao was relieved to let him manage the Dongfang family. However, thinking about it, Lin Yi was just an early-stage heaven-rank master. Even if he was powerful and could fight against the enemy, it was impossible to be the opponent of the peak late-stage heaven-rank master, right? If that was the case, Lin Yi would have been able to do whatever he wanted in the ancient level. Moreover, when he was in the Cultivator Trading Association, Lin Yi should have killed Dongfang hard instead of letting him escape. It seemed that Lin Yi's strength was still limited. This made Dongfang Badao's originally nervous mood slightly relaxed. When do we act? Dongfang Badao asked. The everyday and everyday sect is waiting for our reply. As long as we nod, they will immediately send someone to meet us. Dongfang Jinxing said. Well, you tell him that now our Dongfang family is also ready. Let Dongfang Yinxing go to meet with Purin Tianzuan, and then go together to kill Lin Yi. When Dongfang Badao said this, he turned to look at Dongfang Yinxing. Yinxing, you remember, you must act with Purin Tianzuan. Don't be stupid enough to rush to the front as a test. I understand this. Dongfang Yinxing's words were heard. He was not stupid. Since it was an alliance between the two families, he naturally wanted Purin Tianzuan to rush to the front. It was best to fight with Lin Yi until both sides suffered, and then kill Lin Yi himself. This was also an indirect way to let the everyday sect suffer a little and avenge Dongfang Buliyu. Dongfang Jinxing came out of Dongfang Badao's room and went to call Puryang Tianzuan. After Puryang Tianzuan received the phone call, he told the news to Zhong Pingliang. Master, the Dongfang family has agreed to join forces with us to kill Lin Yi. We still have to kill Lin Yi. Pingliang sighed softly. Actually, after merging with Mad Dragon's memories, killing Lin Yi would be a piece of cake. I'd just send a couple of masters, and they'd be able to take him out. But the reason why I didn't do this is also because I want to give Pao motivation to improve his cultivation. But now, if Lin Yi is not eliminated, he can't get rid of the demon in his heart. We can only kill Lin Yi first. Master, since you agree, then I will let Purin Junior Brother go to meet with Dongfang Yinxing. Puryang Tianzuan nodded and asked. Yes, but before he leaves, you ask him to come over. I have something to tell him. Zhong Pingliang said. Okay, master, I will go find him. Puryang Tianzuan nodded and went to find Purin Tianzuan. Chapter 3160. He had already tried many times, but he still failed. After all, reaching the peak of the heaven stage was a very difficult hurdle. After crossing it, there was hope of advancing to the heavenly Tao. It was not something that could be comprehended just because one wanted to. Senior brother, how is it? Do you want me to come out of the mountain and kill that kid? Every time Pure Een came out of seclusion, he would stretch his body. After all, he had been cooped up in the house for a long time. He definitely wanted to get some fresh air. At this time, there was a mission to kill, so he was very enthusiastic. Lord Master, who is also your great master uncle, has agreed. But before you go, Lord Master has something to tell you. Come with me. Pure Yang nodded and said, Okay. Pure Een hurriedly followed Pure Yang to Zhong Pingliang's residence. After coming out of seclusion, he already knew that Zhong Pingliang was the resurrected patriarch Mad Dragon. Naturally, he was very respectful to him. The two came to Zhong Pingliang's residence and knocked on the door. Lord Master, disciple Pure Yang has brought junior brother Pure Een here. Okay, come in, Zhong Pingliang said faintly. During this time, Zhong Pingliang had learned how to act cool. Although his character was still like Zhong Pingliang's playboy, he had to act like a superior in the sect. Otherwise, others would find it weird. Disciple Purine greets Great Master Uncle, Purine hurriedly said after entering the door. Purine, no need to be so polite. Zhong Pingliang waved his hand and said, This time, you are going to kill Lin Yi. I have something to remind you of. Great Master Uncle, please speak. Purine nodded and looked like he was all ears. It's like this, Lin Yi. I know very well that this kid is the best at hiding his strength. Therefore, the strength he revealed now might not be his true strength. This might not be his full strength. He has a lot of cards up his sleeves. You have to be careful. Zhong Pingliang warned. Uncle Master, I will remember this. Purine Empyrean's expression turned solemn. He quickly nodded his head. He believed Pingliang's words without a doubt. After all, Pingliang and Lin Yi used to be classmates and archenemies. Now that he had become the Mad Dragon Patriarch, if he still valued Lin Yi so much, then the Purine Empyrean would have to value him even more. All right, as long as you remember. Pingliang nodded in satisfaction. You and Dongfang Yinxing from House Dongfang will fight together. Don't be greedy. He wanted to kill with one strike. Don't give Lin any chance to breathe. After completing the mission, don't stay any longer and rush back immediately. Do you hear me? Yes. Eldest Martial Uncle, I understand. Heavenly Venerable Purine replied. All right, go ahead, Pingliang said. The rendezvous between Heavenly Venerable Purine and Dongfang Yinxing was at the Shueshang Business Hotel in Donghai City. Dongfang Yinxing couldn't find any other place and had never been there before. This was where Dongfang Burua used to live, so Dongfang Yinxing chose this place. First, it was because they were familiar with the place, and second, it was closer to Lin Yi's villa, so they could go there at any time. As for Purine Empyrean, he had never been to Donghai City before. He lived wherever Dongfang Yinxing lived. The two arrived in the evening, but coincidentally, their car arrived at the same time as the Bloodcloak Underworld Sect's intelligence team. Bloodcloak Ancestor, Netherworld Ancestor, and Sinister Ancestor were also staying at the Shueshang Business Hotel. This hotel was the closest to Lin Yi's villa, so it was convenient for them to investigate Lin Yi. Heavenly Venerable Purine and Dongfang Yinxing naturally didn't know these members of the Bloodcloak Underworld Sect's intelligence team. After all, these people were responsible for intelligence work and wouldn't show their faces or let others know their identities. However, it didn't mean that they didn't know Heavenly Venerable Purine and Dongfang Yinxing. The Bloodcloak Underworld Sect's intelligence team recorded all the famous figures in the ancient times, and their faces were silently engraved in the hearts of the intelligence team members. Therefore, when the two of them appeared at the entrance of the hotel, the person in charge of the Bloodcloak Underworld Sect's intelligence team, Feng Xingyao, noticed them. After waiting for Heavenly Venerable Purine and Dongfang Yinxing to book their rooms, Feng Xingyao wrote down their room numbers and entered the elevator together. The rooms of Feng Xingyao and the others had been booked by Sinister Ancestor the day before. The reason why he waited with Heavenly Venerable Purine and Dongfang Yinxing was to listen to their conversation. After entering the elevator, Heavenly Venerable Purine and Dongfang Yinxing didn't hide anything. After all, they didn't think that there was anyone in the mortal world who could shake them, and outsiders wouldn't be able to understand what they were talking about. Does Lin Yi live nearby? Heavenly Venerable Purine asked. Yes, in a villa not far from here, Dongfang Yinxing said. Should we rest for a while before heading over, or should we go tonight? Let's go tonight. Heavenly Venerable Purine thought about it and said, the earlier we go, the faster we can get things done. We'll leave after that. All right. Dongfang Yinxing nodded. The conversation between these two sounded like they were going to visit a friend. If it wasn't for Feng Xingyao, anyone else wouldn't have paid any attention to it. However, Feng Xingyao's heart trembled. Did these two peak late-stage heaven powerhouses come here to deal with Lin Yi? After all, the intelligence team had already received news that the Dongfang family and the Everyday sect had enmity. Feng Xingyao didn't think that it was a good thing for these two to come looking for Lin Yi at the same time. Moreover, from what they said, they were going to leave quickly after finishing their business. Apart from killing people, what else could be done quickly for these ancient powerhouses? However, Feng Xingniao didn't show it on the surface. He had been collecting intelligence all year round and had long cultivated the ability to not show his emotions. So, at least on the surface, Feng Xingniao was focused on playing with his phone as soon as he got into the elevator. He didn't pay attention to heavenly venerable pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing at all. When they reached the floor where Feng Xingniao was, Feng Xingniao didn't pay attention to heavenly venerable pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing anymore. Instead, he walked out of the elevator with his two subordinates and walked toward Patriarch Hell and the others without looking back. Feng Xingniao knocked on the door of the room where Patriarch Hell, Patriarch Bloodcloak, and Patriarch Sinister Woods were. "Who is it?" Patriarch Sinister Woods' voice came from inside. Chapter 3161. "Oh, Windsage, you're here. Please come in." As he spoke, the door was opened, and Ancestor Eerie Woods welcomed the three people into the room. Windsage Bird greets Ancestor Netherworld, Ancestor Bloodcloak, and Ancestor Eerie Woods. After entering the room, the three people quickly bowed. "No need to be so polite, Windsage Bird. Has Eerie Woods told you the purpose of our visit?" Ancestor Netherworld waved his hand and asked. "Yes, he has." Windsage Bird nodded and quickly said, "Ancestor Eerie Woods asked us to investigate Lin Yi, but we saw something strange just now. It's also related to Lin Yi. Call him Master. Lin Yi will be the master of our Bloodcloth Underworld sect in the future. Do you hear me?" Ancestor Eerie Woods frowned and scolded. "Tell me, what news do you have about Master?" Yes." Although Windsage Bird was puzzled as to how Lin Yi became the master of the Bloodcloth Underworld sect, he did not dare to ask. Seeing that the three ancestors had discussed this matter and tacitly agreed to it, how could he dare to have any objections? Hence, he quickly said, "It's like this. I saw the Purine Heavenly Master of the Everyday and Everyday sect and the Dongfang family's Dongfang inching outside the hotel just now. In the elevator, they mentioned Lin Yi, then Windsage Bird repeated what he heard in the elevator to Ancestor Bloodcloak and the other two. "Oh? So, according to you, it is very likely that these two people are here to deal with Lin Yi?" Bloodcloak Ancestor asked solemnly after listening to him. "Theoretically, that should be the case. I was afraid of alerting the enemy, so I didn't dare to ask more. However, the two of them appearing here should be about the same." "It should be about the same." Wind Saint Bird analyzed. "Why don't I go and find out more?" "You're too weak. Don't go." Ancestor Blood Cloak waved his hand and said, "I'll go and find out myself." In fact, Feng Shengniao's strength was not low. He was a Heaven Stage Middle Stage expert. Of course, he was much weaker than Blood Cloak Ancestor and Yellow Spring Ancestor. Dongfang Yinxing and Pure and Heavenly Venerate were stronger than him, so it would be easy for him to be discovered if he went to spy on them. However, it would be different if Blood Cloak Ancestor went personally. After all, if a perfect perfection heaven rank expert wanted to hide his strength and aura, unless it was someone like Lin Yi who had a golden finger, it would be impossible for someone weaker than him to find out. After saying that, Ancestor Blood Clothed opened the window and flew out. Because it was on the side of the hotel building, there was no one outside. However, no one saw Ancestor Bloodcloak. The Bloodcloak Ancestor easily found the room where Pure Een Heavenly Venerate and Dongfang Yinxing were. The Bloodcloak Ancestor was like a Spider-Man as he leaned against the wall. He had heard everything clearly. However, to the great disappointment of the blood-clothed ancestor, he listened outside for half an hour, and there was nothing but the sound of the TV in the room. He didn't hear anything useful from Empyrean Pure Yang and Dongfang Yinxing's laughter. He listened for another half an hour or so. There was still nothing but laughter and TV in the room. The blood-clothed ancestor could only go back first. However, thinking about it, these two were experts at the peak of heaven rank. There was no need for any discussion or strategy to deal with an early heaven rank expert like Lin Yi. They just had to go out at night and do it. The time now was just boring waiting. In a place like the secular world where the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was sparse, they couldn't cultivate. What else could they do other than watch TV? Thinking of this, the blood-clothed ancestor didn't wait any longer and returned to his room. How is it, Bloodcloak? Did you find out anything? Seeing that the blood-clothed ancestor had returned, the yellow spring ancestor quickly asked. The blood-clothed ancestor shook his head and said, "They have been watching TV in the room and didn't say anything else. Let's watch at night and act according to the situation." That's the only way. The yellow spring ancestor nodded. Yellow spring ancestor, blood-clothed ancestor, ancient ancestor, what should I do next? Feng Xingyao asked. Next, you should take a rest first. You don't need to participate in tonight's matter. The blood-clothed ancestor thought for a while and said, "It will be enough for the three of us to take action at night." "Okay, then I will take my leave first," Feng Xingyao said and left with his two subordinates. As for the yellow spring ancestor, blood-clothed ancestor, and ancient ancestor, they quietly waited for the evening to come in the room. At 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Yin Heavenly Venerate did not move. The blood-clothed ancestor observed several times that they were watching TV in the room until 1 o'clock in the morning. Finally, they moved. Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Yin Heavenly Venerate walked out of the room and took the elevator out of the hotel to the parking lot. Then, they got into their car and slowly drove away from the Shueshang Business Hotel. Of course, with the strength of Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Yin Heavenly Venerate, there was no need for them to take a car to find Lin Yi. The purpose of them taking a car was probably to deceive others. Otherwise, it would be strange for the two of them to stroll outside in the middle of the night. However, the yellow spring ancestor, blood-clothed ancestor, and ancient ancestor didn't drive a car. They didn't even take the elevator. Instead, they jumped out of the hotel window and over the wall on the side of the hotel, following Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Yin Heavenly Venerate's car slowly. The car drove to the entrance of Lin Yi's villa and stopped. The yellow spring ancestor and the other two also hid themselves not far away. Ding dong! Dongfang Yinxing rang the doorbell of Lin Yi's villa. He didn't force his way in because he was afraid of alerting the people around. After all, they were people from the ancient times. It would be unjustifiable for them to interfere in the affairs of the secular world. The Dongfang family barely had a reason to arrest the murderer of the Dongfang family, but the everyday sect didn't have a suitable reason. Hence, they kept a low profile. Although the newly appointed ancestor of the everyday sect, Zhong Pingliang, didn't play by the rules and relied on the strength of the everyday sect to disregard the rules of the ancient times, that was Zhong Pingliang. Pure Yin Heavenly Venerate kept a low profile as much as possible. Someone was ringing the doorbell at 1 o'clock in the morning. Lin Yi returned to reality from his cultivation state. He got up and walked out of the room, arriving at the entrance of the villa. Chapter 3162. Although Lin Yi had seen the three top masters from Yellow Spring sect before, he was still shocked. Because Lin Yi clearly felt that these two didn't have good intentions. They were different from the people from Yellow Spring sect. Whether it was their expressions or their cold attitude, it showed that they were enemies. What's the matter, visiting so late at night? Lin Yi didn't walk over to guard the door. The Jade had already sent out a weak warning signal. If he walked over, the Jade would probably send out a strong warning, right? So Lin Yi just stood at the door, looking at Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Yin Tianzuan from afar. Lin Yi had already thought about it. If anything happened, he would run to the backyard and get on the purple lightning beast. Yushu's backer was 5 elements sect. These two wouldn't dare touch her no matter how strong they were. As for Su Shirhan, Lin Yi could only pray that these two wouldn't go upstairs to look for her. Otherwise, Lin Yi would have to come back and waste his only net to save Su Shirhan. You're Lin Yi, right? Dongfang Yinxing wasn't in a hurry to make a move. He needed to be sure, otherwise, he'd be screwed. Just like Dongfang Song and the others, they tried to make a move on the inheritor of the Dark Palace, only to be killed by the Great Elder. You are? Lin Yi asked. Dongfang Yinxing. Dongfang Yinxing said proudly, you killed so many people from my Dongfang family. Today, I will make you pay with your blood. Dongfang Yinxing? Linny frowned and looked at Purine Tianzuan. What about you? You're not from Dongfang family too, right? Purine Tianzuan. I'm here on the orders of Mad Dragon Ancestor to take your life. Purine Tianzuan didn't explain too much and simply stated the purpose of this trip. Both of them were here to kill him? Lin Yi took a deep breath, turned around, and wanted to run. He had no choice but to run. Two peak late phase heaven class masters. Lin Yi wasn't their match at all. Lin Yi couldn't even deal with one, let alone two. Open the door and die. I'll let you die a quick death. Dongfang Yinxing said, don't even think about escaping. You won't be able to escape from two peak late heaven rank experts. What to do? Lin Yi pondered for a moment and wanted to turn around and escape. After all, if he didn't run now, it would be too late. Just at this moment of mutual hostility, not far away, Ancestor Bloodcloak and Ancestor Yellow Spring exchanged glances and said at the same time, let's go. Leave no one alive. As they spoke, the two flew behind Dongfang Yinxing and Pure in Heavenly Venerate. As for old Ancestor Eerie Woods, he did not move. He was waiting for an opportunity to strike. Just as Dongfang Yinxing and Pure in Heavenly Venerable were about to kill Lin Yi, they suddenly felt a sense of danger coming from behind. Their hearts trembled and they quickly turned around, only to see two black-robed men rushing towards them. Damn it! Who are these people? Both of them were scared out of their wits because Ancestor Bloodcloak and Ancestor Yellow Spring were displaying their peak late-phase heaven rank strength. The two of them had to be careful. This is Lin Yi. He has helpers? Purine Heavenly Venerable and Dongfang Yinxing were shocked. Although they were puzzled, they had no choice but to take out their heaven-grade divine weapons at the same time. Otherwise, the two of them would die without a doubt in the face of the two shiny black iron swords. In the blink of an eye, the four divine weapons intertwined with each other. 2 against 2, it was hard to tell who would come out on top. Although the Bloodcloak Ancestor and the Yellow Spring Ancestor were at the peak of the late stage of the heaven rank and were stronger than the Purine Heavenly Venerable and Dongfang Yinxing, it was impossible for them to instantly kill each other. After all, at this level, they had a lot of fighting experience. It was unrealistic to say who could directly kill the other. However, if they fought for a period of time, Ancestor Bloodcloak and Ancestor Yellow Spring were both experts with half a foot in the heaven rank. Dongfang Yinxing and Pure in Heavenly Venerate were both experts with half a foot in the Great Perfection realm. Although the two of them hadn't reached that level yet, they had already touched the threshold after years of cultivation. All they lacked was an opportunity, so their combat experience wasn't the slightest bit lacking. However, what made them alarmed was that the moves of the two people in front of them were very strange. Every move was a killer move, and every move was fatal. Not a single move only wanted to injure and not kill. This gave the two of them a headache. They had to carefully deal with every move, otherwise, there would be a bloody hole in their bodies. This also resulted in the two of them only being able to defend and not attack. And at this time, just as Ancestor Bloodcloak was about to attack Dongfang Yinxing suddenly felt danger coming from behind. However, he couldn't look back because Ancestor Bloodcloak's black iron sword was already stabbing towards him. If he didn't deal with it properly, he would be stabbed to death. This put him in a dilemma. He was incomparably hesitant, but there was no other way. He could only brace himself and defend first, praying that the person behind him was just Lin Yi. However, the reality was very cruel. Dongfang Yinxing suddenly felt that the person behind him was at the peak of the heaven rank, but it was already too late. An arrow pierced through his heart. Dongfang Yinxing died with his eyes wide open. Pure in Heavenly Venerable was shocked, but he didn't dare to be distracted. In the next moment, it was his turn to suffer a tragedy. Another arrow pierced through his heart. Pure in Heavenly Venerable also died. However, before he died, he suddenly remembered the identity of the three people in front of him. You're from the Bloodcloak Yellow Spring sect. Moreover, your ancestors? Why do you want to kill me? Pure in Heavenly Venerable couldn't understand why the three ancestors of the Bloodcloak Yellow Spring sect wanted to kill them. This was a completely unrelated matter. Why did they help Lin Yi? In fact, The fight between these people was over in the blink of an eye. Because there was a distance between each villa in the villa area, it didn't alarm anyone else. Linny was originally prepared to escape, but he couldn't help but stare in shock when he saw the three from the Blood-Cloak Yellow Spring sect suddenly jump out and kill Purine Heavenly Venerable and Dongfang Yinxing. What kind of show were these three putting on? Why did they help him? Thank you for helping me. May I ask if you're returning my favor? Lin Yi really couldn't understand why these three would help. The only thing he could think of was that the Yellow Spring ancestor and the others said that if he helped Mingyao torture Zhao Qibing, they would owe him a favor. So, no matter how he thought about it, this was the only possibility that Lin Yi could think of. Chapter 3163. Oh, assassination targets? Lin Yi was slightly surprised. Yes, I'm really sorry that I didn't tell Mr. Lin before. Perhaps Mr. Lin was wondering why three patriarchs were dispatched at the same time when we came to make peace with you. Isn't this a little too much? Asked Ancestor Eerie Woods. Indeed, I was wondering before, but I was too embarrassed to ask. Lin Yi nodded. Could it be that your real target is these two people? That's right. Eerie Old Ancestor nodded. Only the three of us can easily kill these two peak late-stage heaven rank experts. However, we were afraid of alerting them, so we didn't tell Mr. Lin about this. Moreover, the mission is confidential, so we didn't know that Mr. Lin has a grudge against these two. We were also afraid that Mr. Lin would leak the secret, so we concealed it. Mr. Lin, you won't be unhappy, right? Of course not. Lin Yi shook his head in surprise and joy. He suddenly realized something. Before this, he was still wondering when he got so much face to have three elders from the Bloodcloth Underworld sect come to him to make peace. Wasn't this too awesome? Now it seemed that they came with a mission. As for why they killed Purine Heavenly Lord and Dongfang Yinxing, Lin Yi didn't bother to ask. It was very simple. Someone paid for murder, so they made a move. There was no reason at all. Just like before, they inexplicably came to kill Lin Yi for the same reason. Moreover, this matter didn't have much to do with Lin Yi. As long as the Bloodcloth Underworld sect didn't come to kill him, it was fine. As for who the employer was, there was no need for him to ask. Lin Yi used to be an assassin in the secular world, so it was impossible for him to casually tell others about his employer. Then the three of us will go first. You must keep the matter of us coming here a secret. Don't tell anyone. Bloodcloth Old Ancestor pondered for a moment and said, however, I'll have to trouble Mr. Lin to help deal with these two corpses. I can't say for sure, but I'll have to trouble Mr. Lin to take the blame for their deaths. Oh? Lin Yi was slightly stunned, but he was overjoyed. Taking the blame for the three ancestors of Yellow Spring sect was not a bad thing. In fact, it was a good thing for Lin Yi. Even if the Dongfang family and Everyday After Bright sect knew that Dongfang Yinxing and Purine Heavenly Venerable were killed by the blood-clothed Underworld sect, it wouldn't do Lin Yi any good. They wouldn't lessen their hatred for Lin Yi because of this. On the contrary, if the two of them died in front of Lin Yi's house, they might even think that Lin Yi hired the blood-clothed Underworld sect to kill them. Therefore, they probably wouldn't seek revenge from the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect. He would still look for Lin Yi. However, what if they thought that the two of them were killed by Lin Yi? That would be different. Killing two peak, late-stage heaven powerhouses wasn't something an ordinary person could do, but Lin Yi did it. In this way, whether it was the Dongfang family or the Everyday After Bright sect, they had to reevaluate Lin Yi's ability. If they wanted to deal with Lin Yi, they had to send out more powerful experts. Who was the more powerful expert? It was definitely a peak late-stage heaven perfection expert. However, there was another problem. If Lin Yi could kill two peak late-stage heaven perfection experts, why couldn't he kill a peak late-stage heaven perfection expert? It wasn't impossible. It was very possible. Moreover, even a peak late-stage heaven perfection expert wouldn't dare to say that he could easily kill two peak late-stage heaven perfection experts, right? It was possible to kill one, but if two were to attack together, the peak late-stage heaven perfection expert might be the one to suffer. This was a 50-50 chance. Of course, if it was someone else, No one would believe that an early-stage heaven rank expert could kill two peak late-stage heaven rank experts. They might even mistake it as a mental patient talking nonsense. But when it came to Lin Yi, everyone thought that it was normal. Lin Yi had been fighting enemies stronger than him since his debut. Many of the Dongfang family's experts had died in Lin Yi's hands, and the everyday after-bright sect's Zhang Naipeo, who was known as the number one under a certain level, was defeated by Lin Yi every single time. If Zhang Naipeo could kill Dongfang Bushu, who was a peak late-stage heaven perfection expert, then why couldn't Lin Yi kill two peak late-stage heaven perfection experts if he was stronger than Zhang Naipeo? So, other than being surprised, no one would doubt it. This was Lin Yi's current advantage. When Lin Yi thought about it, he was very happy to get this benefit for free. Although he couldn't guarantee that the Dongfang family and the everyday after bright sect wouldn't react and seek revenge, but in the short term, they wouldn't be able to find trouble with Lin Yi. Two peak late-stage heaven perfection experts who didn't even know how they died. Who would dare come to die? After thinking this through, Lin Yi cupped his fist at the three. All right, I'll keep this a secret. No matter what, I thank the three elders for helping me kill my enemies. Since we're paid, we'll take our leave first. With that, Bloodreeb nodded and quickly left with the other two. The fighting in the yard alerted the people in the villa. The first to come out were Wu Qintian and Feng Sanhuang. They didn't see the fight, but they saw two corpses the moment they came out. What's going on? Who are these two people? Qintian and Feng Sanhuang were startled. The consecutive days of peace made them think that the Dongfang family had let go of this matter and wouldn't come looking for trouble, but tonight's matter didn't seem to be the case. These two people had Sky-class weapons in their hands. They were obviously practitioners and Sky-class practitioners at that. They were most likely related to the Dongfang family. One is Dongfang Yinxing, and the other is Pure Yin Sky Master. Lin Yi said, both of them are peak late-stage heaven perfection. Qintian, Fengbro, take care of these two corpses. Don't alert the neighbors. Dongfang Yinxing? Pure Yin Sky Master? Qintian didn't think much of it, but Feng Sanhuang was shocked. He naturally knew who these two were. They were famous masters for a long time, but they were dead? Killed by Lin Yi just like that? Chapter 3164. Feng Sanhuang came back to his senses. Mr. Lin, you're really amazing. You can even kill two heaven-rank peak late-phase experts? At this time, Su Shihan and Cheng Yi also came downstairs. When they saw the two corpses in front of the villa, they were shocked. When they heard that both of them were peak late-stage heaven class and were killed by Lin Yi, they were shocked as well. I used some secret techniques, but I paid a price for it, Lin Yi explained vaguely. He'd already promised Bloodcloak Underworld to keep it a secret, so he couldn't even tell the people close to him. He could only brush them off like this. Moreover, this was what Lin Yi wanted. If this matter was spread out, it would be of great benefit to Lin Yi's reputation. Since Lin Yi said so, Qintian and Sanhuang didn't ask anymore and quickly went to take care of the body. Shihan, on the other hand, walked over with fear. Lin Yi, this person is Dongfang Yinxing of the Dongfang clan. It looks like the Dongfang clan is going all out this time. Lin Yi said, I heard that there is still a man named Dongfang Jinxing and Dongfang Badeo left. I don't know when they will come. When they come, I'll kill them all, and then you can leave this place with peace of mind. Lin Yi's words were actually meant to spread the news through the mouths of his own people. Moreover, he also had another purpose. Su Shihan was shocked. Lin Yi was really ruthless. He wanted to wipe out their whole family. Then, what about the other person? Cheng Yi asked curiously. That person is from the Everyday Church. He's called Pure in Heavenly Venerable. In any case, the Everyday Church and I are sworn enemies. I heard that they have a peak heaven rank expert at the great perfection of the heaven rank. I don't know if my secret technique can get rid of him. I can give it a try. It shouldn't be a problem, Lin Yi said. Heavens. So powerful. Cheng Yi stuck out her tongue. Xiaohan, since there's nothing else, I'll go upstairs to rest. I'm so sleepy. You go first. I'll wait for Brother Feng here. Su Shihan had something to tell Feng Sanhuang. Such a big thing happened today. She had to tell her father, Feng Tianlin. All right, I'll go to bed first. I'm so sleepy, yawn. Chung Yi turned around and walked towards the villa in a daze. Holy H*T. I seem to have missed something fun. Yushu ran out of the villa in her pajamas, her big breasts in her hands. She looked at the bodies Sanhuang and Chintian moved into the car with sleepy eyes. Shield bro, who are these two idiots? Lin Yi looked at Yushu. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. Shu, can't you drink less papaya milk? Are your breasts tired? Now you're holding it with your hands? I've been drinking it since I was a kid. Can't change it. Yushu said as she let go. Shield bro, maybe you could help me with liposuction? When you cultivate in the future, you can make your skin contract. If it's firmer, you won't need to hold it with your hands. Linny used chi into sound. This was something he learned in the Ice Palace. He wasn't very familiar with it when he was a mystic, but now that he was a sky class, naturally, he could use it freely. Yushu becoming an inheritor was still a secret. Lin Yi didn't want anyone else to know about it. Besides, this was a private conversation. Linny and Shu were so close that they didn't need to hide anything. But Su Shihan, Feng Sanhuang, and Chun Tian were there too, so Linny couldn't say it out loud. Oh, Yushu nodded happily. Finally, I don't need to hold it up anymore. Linny told Yushu about what happened last night and led her into the house. Shihan, on the other hand, went to call Feng Tianlin. The father and daughter didn't contact each other often, and every time they called, they had a lot to talk about. But tonight, other than Shihan and Feng Tianlin who didn't rest, it was destined to be a sleepless night for many people. Feng Tianhu, the first person to know about Dongfang Jinxing and Pure Yin's death, was shocked as if he was struck by lightning. He held the phone in his hand, unable to believe his ears. 2 peak, late-stage heaven-rank powerhouses died just like that? Since when did Lin Yi become so powerful? Now, he could kill top-level practitioners? Feng Tianhu was shocked, but he was also afraid. He regretted killing Su Shihan when he had nothing better to do. Now he made such a strong enemy out of nowhere. If Lin Yi wanted to come to House Feng and take his life, it would be as easy as flipping his palm. Old Feng wouldn't even say a word for him, because even Old Feng wasn't his opponent. All of a sudden, Feng Tianhu was extremely frustrated. He felt that his biggest failure was working with Dongfang Xiaocui to deal with Shihan. It was a stupid move. No, he couldn't just sit here and wait for death. He needed to quickly find Dongfang Xiaocui to discuss a plan. Coincidentally, Feng Tianlin went to pick up Shihan's call. Dongfang Xiaocui had the chance to come out. Receiving Feng Tianhu's message, Dongfang Xiaocui quickly came to the prearranged location. Seeing Feng Tianlin frowning, she couldn't help but be confused. Tianhu? What are you doing? It's already so late. What's the matter? Don't let your second brother misunderstand. Sister-in-law, let's not talk about this. Something happened. Something big happened. Feng Tianhu waved his hand and ignored Dongfang Xiaocui's words. He hurriedly said, Dongfang Yinxing is dead? What? My second brother is dead? Dongfang Xiaocui's eyes widened and looked at Feng Tianhu in disbelief. Feng Tianhu, are you joking? Your joke isn't funny at all. My second brother is a sky-class late-phase peak master. He's half a step into the absolute peak. You're saying he's dead? Sister-in-law, I'm not in the mood to joke with you. Feng Tianhu frowned. The everyday sect's pure Yin Tianzuan died with him. He's also a sky-class late-phase peak master. What? How did they die? What did they go to do? Dongfang Xiaocui realized that Feng Tianhu might be telling the truth and asked anxiously. Chapter 3165. What? That Lin Yi is that strong? Isn't he just a heaven-class early-stage bodyguard? How could he kill 2 heaven-class late-stage peak masters? Dongfang Xiaocui asked in disbelief. That Lin Yi is very capable. He can fight those stronger than him. Before, he killed a heaven-class mid-stage master from the Dongfang family, and now he can kill 2 heaven-class late-stage peak masters. I heard that he used some kind of secret technique, But no matter what, he was hiding his strength before. Feng Tianhu said, "Now, I don't know if killing 2 heaven-class late-stage peak masters is his limit. Maybe he can even kill a heaven-class late-stage peak full-circle master. Then what should we do?" Dongfang Xiaotsui turned pale with fright. Does he know that this is a conspiracy between the two of us? Will he come and cause trouble for us? If he comes, we'll all die. Tianhu, think of something. What should we do? Dongfang Xiaotsui panicked. For the first time, she felt powerless and fearful. The Dongfang family could no longer be her support, because heaven-class late-stage peak masters could be killed by Lin Yi. Dongfang Xiaotsui was afraid that Lin Yi would take revenge on her. Don't worry, Lin Yi definitely knows. He's my second brother's bodyguard, after all. My second brother will definitely tell him about us. So, there's no point in us panicking. We can only think of a plan. Feng Tianhu was also a bit anxious. How about we go find him and beg for mercy? Don't kill us. I won't dare to do it again. I won't dare to do anything to Su Shihan anymore. How about asking him to forgive us? Dongfang Xiaotsui panicked. Yes, that's it. I heard that he's Shisan's boss, and I'm Shisan's mother. Even if he doesn't want to let me go, he should at least give face to his little brother, Shisan, right? I'll ask Shisan for help now. Feng Tianhu was very unhappy. He thought, Lin Yi won't blame you then. He'll definitely vent his anger on me. What should I do then? It looked like this kind of brainless woman was out of the question. Cooperating with her was simply asking for trouble. However, Feng Tianhu had no other choice. Dongfang Xiaotsui could rely on Feng Shipian, but he couldn't. Feng Shipian hated him to the core. Help him? Feng Tianhu hesitated. Whether it was a blessing or a curse, he couldn't avoid it. He could only try his best to think of a way. Then go. I'll think of something else, Feng Tianhu said helplessly. Dongfang Xiaotsui went to plead with her son, Feng Shipian. After Feng Tianhu went back, he didn't give up. He called Dongfang Jinxing. This was done by him and Dongfang Jinxing. Even if he died, he would drag someone down with him. Dongfang Jinxing, in fact, was also waiting for news from Dongfang Yinxing. Today, Dongfang Yinxing had already talked to him and decided to kill Lin Yi at night. The appointed time was around midnight, but now it was almost dawn and there was no news. This gave Dongfang Jinxing a bad feeling in his heart. It was reasonable to say that 2 masters of the peak late stage of heaven stage could kill Lin Yi, a master of the early stage of heaven stage. It was just a matter of minutes. However, it had been a few hours and there was still no news. How could Dongfang Jinxing not be anxious? Jinxing, you are now the young master of the Dongfang family. Why are you so restless? Dongfang Badeo looked up at Dongfang Jinxing. He was confident in Dongfang Yinxing. Masters of the peak late stage of heaven stage were the top existences in the current cultivation world. Even masters of the peak late stage of heaven stage great perfection couldn't easily kill them, let alone Lin Yi. Hey, father, why don't I call Yinxing and ask? Dongfang Jinxing was really a little uneasy. If he was not sure of the safety of Dongfang Yinxing, he would be a little restless. If you call, I am afraid that Yinxing is performing a killing mission and will affect him. Otherwise, you can send a text message. When Yinxing sees the message, he will give you a reply. Dongfang Badeo thought about it and said, Okay. Dongfang Jinxing nodded and picked up the mobile phone. However, before he could send a message, the phone rang. Dongfang Jinxing glanced at the caller ID. It was Feng Tianhu. Why did Feng Tianhu call so late at night? Although Dongfang Jinxing was a little puzzled, the two were in a cooperative relationship, so he still picked up the phone. Feng Tianhu, what's the matter? Brother Dongfang, something bad has happened. Mr. Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Yin Tianzuan have fallen. Feng Tianhu said in a hurry. What? What did you say? What happened to Yinxing? Dongfang Jinxing was shocked and couldn't believe his ears. Did I hear it wrong? Say it again. Brother Dongfang, you didn't hear it wrong. I just received the news that these 2 people were killed by Lin Yi's secret method in front of his house. Feng Tianhu sighed. He understood Dongfang Jinxing's mood. When he just received the news, wasn't he also shocked? What? Lin Yi killed them in seconds? How is this possible? Both of them are masters at the peak of the late stage of heaven stage. How could Lin Yi, a small, early-stage heaven stage, kill them in seconds? You are lying, aren't you? Dongfang Jingxing didn't want to believe what Feng Tianhu said. Although he also knew that Feng Tianhu definitely didn't have the courage to joke about such things, he still wanted to be lucky. AI. Feng Tianhu said helplessly, Brother Dongfang, Lin Yi can kill masters at the middle stage of heaven stage. Why can't he kill masters at the peak of the late stage of heaven stage? Didn't Zhang Naipeo from the Everyday sect kill Dongfang Bushu, a master at the peak of the late stage of heaven stage? That was just a trick. If it wasn't for the 5 evil savage lands, there wouldn't be so many spirit beasts. How could Bushu die if he didn't lose? At most, he just temporarily lost his mind. Dongfang Jingxing argued that Lin Yi also used some kind of secret method. It is said that he paid a certain price to be able to kill masters at the peak of the late stage of heaven stage. Feng Tianhu said, although I don't know what price Lin Yi paid, at least for now, Lin Yi seems to be fine. Maybe Lin Yi can even kill masters at the peak of the late stage of heaven stage in seconds. These two represent the common level and the hidden level. Lin Yi is killing the chicken to warn the monkey. Maybe the next one will be our ancient Feng family or the Dongfang clan. Feng Tianhu also studied Lin Yi and came to such a conclusion. That's because he was pushed too far. Now, none of the people around Lin Yi are dead or injured, but our Dongfang clan lost several masters. I don't think he can come to us for trouble. As long as we endure it and don't provoke him, it'll be fine. Dongfang Badeo said faintly, endure it, it's nothing. Feng Tianhu listened to Dongfang Badeo's tone and was so angry that his teeth itched, but there was nothing he could do. In the end, the Dongfang clan was just a thug. The cause of this matter was because of Feng Tianhu. If Lin Yi wanted revenge, he would definitely be the first one. As for the Dongfang clan, as long as they bowed their heads and admitted their mistakes, it would be fine. After all, Lin Yi didn't lose anything. But Feng Tianhu was different. Let Feng Tianhu bow his head? Wouldn't that be admitting Su Shihan's identity, and he also had to bow his head to Feng Tianlin? Then would he still compete for the position of the head of the clan? Wouldn't Feng Nitian die in vain? Let him give up. He was not willing. However, now the Dongfang clan obviously retreated, and he himself was not Lin Yi's opponent. Feng Tianhu had no way. His face was gloomy, but his voice didn't change. Okay, Elder Dongfang, if that's the case, I'm relieved. Hanging up the phone, Feng Tianhu stomped his feet and walked to the Feng clan's ancestral hall. There was Feng Nitian's tablet. He wanted to calm down and think of a better way to deal with Lin Yi and Su Shihan. If Lin Yi didn't die, he wouldn't be satisfied. Looking at Feng Nitian's tablet, Feng Tianhu secretly vowed in his heart that he must teach Lin Yi a lesson. But now, he didn't have a helper. With his own strength, there was no way to shake Lin Yi. Next, he should find a new helper. Who would it be? Right, the Everyday sect. Feng Nitian suddenly remembered that the Everyday sect had lost a disciple as well, and it was an important disciple, the disciple of the Pure Young Sky Master, Pure Een Sky Master. With this person dead, the Everyday sect would be furious, wouldn't they? That was a Sky-class late-phase peak. A full-cycle master. Although Feng Tianhu knew that this path was full of danger, there was no point in being afraid and regretting it now. He was forced to this point, and if Feng Nitian didn't die, he might have given up and not fight for anything. But Feng Nitian was dead, and he was forced to a dead end. Even if he was afraid, he had to continue. For himself, for his dead son. Feng Tianhu's face flashed with a trace of ferocious madness. The Everyday Sun sect and the Five-Element sect were large sects that had stepped down from the primeval level. The main characters of their sects all had soul jade tablets. Only after this person perished would the jade tablet shatter. Now that Pure Een Empyrean's jade tablet had shattered, the patrolling disciple was startled and hurriedly reported it to Pure Young Empyrean. What? Brother Pure Een is dead? The Pure Young Sky Master was shocked as well. He didn't care about anything else and quickly reported it to Zhong Pingliang. Zhong Pingliang's face was very ugly as well. He knew about the soul jade plate. When he died, his soul jade plate was broken as well, but he had a secret technique to preserve his soul for future possession. Purine Skymaster, on the other hand, didn't have any secret technique. Death was death. The plate wouldn't lie. Chapter 3167. I'll go ask House Dongfang now and see if they have any news. Don't let them escape and let Purine be cannon fodder. I won't let them go. Pure Yang nodded and was about to call Dongfang Jinxing, but before he could make the call, he received a call from an unknown number. Pure Yang didn't think much about it, thinking that it was someone from House Dongfang. He picked up the phone. Hello? I'm Pure Yang. Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang. I'm Feng Tianhu from the ancient Feng family. Have you heard of my name? Feng Tianhu asked carefully. The everyday sect was a powerful existence. He had to be careful. Ancient House Feng? I know this, but Feng Tianhu doesn't. Pure Yang Heavenly Venerate frowned. He didn't know why the Feng family called him. I'm Feng Nitian's father, the one who got crippled by Lin Yi. Feng Tianhu quickly introduced himself. Oh, Feng Nitian? Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang finally remembered. I have an impression of this. What's the matter, Feng Tianhu? It's like this. Lin Yi has already killed Pure Yin and Dongfang clan's Dongfang Yinxing. I'm here to inform you, Feng Tianhu said. What? Dongfang Yinxing of House Dongfang is dead? Pure Yang froze. He had guessed that Dongfang Yinxing was using Pure Yin as cannon fodder, but it seemed like that wasn't the case. Both of them were dead. Yes, they were killed by Lin Yi, Feng Tianhu said. Oh, then how did you know about this? This doesn't have anything to do with your ancient house Feng, right? What role did you play in this? Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang's tone turned cold as he questioned. Pure Yang, I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you the truth. Actually, the Dongfang family's matter was caused by me. Feng Tianhu didn't hide anything and told Pure Yang Empyrean about how he wanted to touch Su Shihan, as well as the enmity between him and Lin Yi. These things weren't secrets anymore. Feng Tianhu wasn't afraid of anything. Oh, in other words, the people of the Dongfang family died because of you? Empyrean Pure Yang frowned. What do you mean by calling me? Could it be that you just want to inform me that Chun Yin has also fallen? Pure Yang Empyrean was a little confused about what Feng Tianhu meant. Even if the Dongfang family died because of Feng Tianhu, but there was no need to inform the everyday sect. What was this person's intention? He didn't die because of that. When the matter was exposed, Dongfang Xiaotsue had already told Dongfang Jinxing to stop. After that, it was all between the Dongfang family and Lin Yi, Feng Tianhu said. If that's the case, then there's no need for you to tell me this. What are you trying to say? The more heavenly venerable Pure Yang listened, the more puzzled he became. What I want to say is that we have a common enemy, and that's Lin Yi. Feng Tianhu said, right now, the Dongfang clan is greatly weakened. They don't want to participate anymore, but your sect definitely won't let this go, right? At that time, you and I will join hands to deal with Lin Yi. You and I work together? You are representing yourself, or the ancient Feng family? Pure Yang Empyrean asked faintly, unmoved at all. After all, in his eyes, even the ancient Feng family wasn't a very powerful existence. This, of course, it's me, Feng Tianhu said a little awkwardly. All right, I got it. I'll talk to Master about this matter with Patriarch Berserk Dragon. I'll give you a reply when the time comes. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up. With that, Empyrean Pure Yang hung up. Why are the people from the Feng family looking for you? Zhong Pingliang asked after Pure Yang Empyrean hung up. They're looking for me to work together. It's like this. Pure Yang Empyrean repeated what Feng Tianhu said. Oh, with his level of strength, he wants to get even with Lin Yi? Is he an idiot? Zhong Pingliang snorted in disdain. I know Lin Yi too well. This person has endless trump cards. It's a piece of cake for him to fight someone stronger than him. The main thing is that this person is very cunning. He's very good at pretending to be weak. The strength we see now might not be his true strength. In the past, I suffered a few losses in his hands. Even my kidney was cut off. So, before we figure out how strong Lin Yi is and how many trump cards he has, it's not recommended to provoke Lin Yi. Otherwise, you'll just be sending yourself to your death. Master, then we won't participate in this matter? Pure Yin's death. Are we just going to let it go? Pure Yang Empyrean felt that Zhong Pingliang's words made sense. However, giving up just like that would be letting Lin Yi off easy. Of course not, but you have to endure it for now. Otherwise, you'll just be sending yourself to your death. Do you think you can deal with Lin Yi? Zhong Pingliang asked. That's true. Pure Yang Empyrean nodded. Then I'll go tell Feng Tianhu now that we won't participate in this matter. Tell him that we won't participate. However, if he wants to deal with Lin Yi, that's fine too. Zhong Pingliang thought about it and said, isn't there a bloodcloth underworld sect in the ancient world that specializes in paying to assassinate cultivators? I think you can remind Feng Tianhu and let him hire people from the bloodcloth underworld sect to kill Lin Yi. That's a good idea. If it succeeds, then so be it. If it doesn't, we won't lose anything. Pure Yang Empyrean agreed. Master, you think too much. It's not that I think too much. I'm also holding back my anger. I can't swallow this anger because of Lin Yi. Zhong Pingliang sighed and said, however, because I know Lin Yi better than anyone, I also know that this revenge can't be avenged in a short period of time. I've endured for so long before, so a little longer won't matter. I see, but I believe that once Master recovers his strength, killing Lin Yi will be an easy and pleasant matter, Pure Yang Empyrean said. I hope so. Zhong Pingliang nodded. By the way, help me find someone and help me kill someone. Oh, Master, who do you want to kill? Pure Yang Empyrean was slightly stunned. Other than Lin Yi, you have other enemies? Chapter 3168. Oh, okay. Master, is this person also a cultivator? What is his strength level? Pure Yang asked. This person is an Earth-class master. I don't know exactly how strong he is now, but I think it's definitely not Heaven-class. Zhong Pingliang said, send someone to kill him. Any Heaven-class master should be enough, right? Okay, but to be on the safe side, it's better to send a master with the strength of the peak late stage of Heaven-class. With Lin Yi's lesson this time, we have to be careful. It's better to be safe than sorry. Pure Yang suggested. You're right. Find the person. I'll explain it to him. Zhong Pingliang pondered for a moment and nodded. The Everyday and Everyday sect had a lot of experts. A Purian Empyrean had died, and the one who came this time was a junior apprentice of Pure Yang Empyrean's generation. He was called Pure Cold Empyrean. In this generation, anyone who reached the heaven rank would be given the title of Empyrean. Pure Cold greets the Supreme Sect Master, Mad Dragon Patriarch. Pure Cold Master saw Zhong Pingliang and quickly bowed respectfully. Pure Cold, this time, I want you to help me kill a person. Pure Yang has told you, right? Zhong Pingliang asked. Replying to Mad Dragon Patriarch, I already know. The person I killed is called Tang Yuqi, a detective who returned from overseas. Pure Cold Master nodded and said, okay, the purpose of your trip this time is to kill this Tang Yuqi. Don't get involved in other things. Do you hear me? Especially avoid Lin Yi. You know about the Purine, right? Pin Liang paused for a moment before asking, I know. Don't worry, Mad Dragon Patriarch. I will hide from Lin Yi. I also heard about Lin Yi's matter. I'm not a match for this kind of person at all. He can kill 2 masters with the strength of the peak late stage of Heaven class. It's definitely easy to deal with me, so I won't be stupid enough to die. Pure Cold Master said, that's good. I don't want our Everyday and Everyday sect to suffer any more losses. Zhong Pingliang said, when you see Lin Yi, you must hide far away. Don't provoke him. Otherwise, your death will be in vain, and I won't be able to avenge you for the time being. Yes, I understand. I'll be careful, August Patriarch Wild Dragon. When I see Lin Yi, I hide far away. Pure Cold Master was actually quite afraid. Even if Zhong Pingliang didn't say anything, He wouldn't dare to provoke Lin Yi casually. Lin Yi wasn't a normal person at all. Whoever provoked him would die. He hadn't lived long enough. All right, go ahead and investigate before taking action. Zhong Pingliang waved his hand, indicating that Pure Cold Skymaster could go. All right. Pure Cold Empyrean cupped his fists and retreated. Only Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang and Zhong Pingliang were left. Pingliang stood up and said to Pure Yang, "Let's go. Come with me to see Pao Zi. As long as Lin Yi doesn't die, he'll be able to survive. I wonder if he'll be able to overcome his inner demons. Yeah, Naipeo is the hope of our sect. Don't go on like this." Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang said worriedly. "Then what should we do?" Zhong Pingliang frowned. "There's still a way to burn the boats." Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang thought about it and said, "Master, this method has a certain degree of danger, but it can also succeed." "Oh? What method? Tell me." Zhong Pingliang was instantly interested. As long as Zhang Naipeo could recover, taking a little risk was worth it. The way now is to provoke him again. Attack him with all your strength. If you attack him too much, you might be able to stimulate the desire for revenge in his body. This way, he can also walk out of his inner demons. Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang said, "What about the consequences?" Zhong Pingliang asked. "If it doesn't succeed, then Naipeo will sink deeper and deeper. It might be even more difficult for him to walk out of this shadow of failure. He'll be in his inner demons for the rest of his life." Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang said, "In that case, if it's not good, it'll at most be worse. But the current situation isn't much better than worse. There's no harm in trying." Zhong Pingliang thought about it for a moment and nodded. "All right, let's go and try it now. As long as we exaggerate Lin Yi's capabilities and tell Naipeo about Pure Yin's death, it'll be enough." Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang said quickly after seeing that Zhong Pingliang had agreed. In fact, he wanted to give it a try as well. If it didn't work, he'd die trying. He was just afraid that Zhong Pingliang wouldn't agree to it. Now that Zhong Pingliang agreed, there was no problem. As they spoke, the two arrived at Naipeo's resting place. They opened the door and saw Naipeo sitting quietly on the bed with a dull look in his eyes. It seemed like Naipeo was still stuck in his own inner demons and hadn't come out. "Pao, I'm here to see you." Zhong Pingliang sighed and said, "I wanted to kill Lin Yi and avenge you. I didn't expect Lin Yi to be so strong. Even Pure Yin died in Lin Yi's hands. Lin Yi can actually kill 2 Sky-class late-phase peak masters at the same time. I really don't know what to do with him now." "That's right, Naipeo. Lin Yi is very talented, and the arts he practices are very magical. He can fight enemies above his level. He's the #1 in every level. It was the same when he was at Mystic, Earth, and now Sky. Ordinary cultivators like us are not the best in a certain realm. Our only hope is you. You can be the best in a certain realm. Our hopes are all pinned on you. Only when you grow up can you get rid of Lin Yi. Otherwise, we are not his match." Pure Yang Heavenly Venerate said helplessly. "Ah, no." Naipeo suddenly roared and stood up, holding his head. "I can't accept this. I want to kill Lin Yi. I want to work hard for Liang Bro." With that, Naipeo looked like he was in pain as he spun around on the ground, screaming nonstop. Zhong Pingliang and Pure Yang looked at each other, both seeing relief in each other's eyes. Naipeo had walked out. As long as he regained his confidence, his desire for training, and his hatred for Lin Yi, everything would be fine. As expected, after a while, Naipeo's eyes became clear again, no longer cloudy and dim. Instead, they were filled with determination and determination. "Liang Bro, Shifu, I will work hard. I will train hard and kill Lin Yi. For Master Purine, for Liang Bro, I will kill Lin Yi," Naipeo said firmly. Chapter 3169. Don't worry, Liang Bro. I don't know what happened to me before, but it was like I was possessed. I know my weakness now. I was too careless before, and I couldn't kill Lin Yi straight away. Instead, I let him drag things out, unlike Lin Yi, who always ambushes, attacks first, or tries to stall for time. I, on the other hand, was too proud and complacent. Through this incident, I've learned one thing. Nothing is real, only defeating the enemy is real. There's no need to talk too much, just start the fight. Naipeo said. Great, Naipeo, you've finally figured out what it means to fight. But who hasn't been young and arrogant before? I have it, and so do Pure Een and Pure Cold. It's just that we're lucky that we didn't encounter a freak like Lin E. Our strength can suppress the other party, but now, with Lin E, the number one person who isn't weaker than you, we can only place our hopes on you. Pure Young Empyrean said, Yeah, Pow, you need to train hard. That's the only way for us to have hope. Pinliang smiled as he patted Naipeo's shoulder. Although Chunin was dead, Naipeo had walked out of his heart demon and returned to reality. This was something worth celebrating. As for the Pure Yang Sky Master, he went to call Feng Tianhu. Chunyang, how is it? What did the elders say? Feng Tianhu finally received Chunyang's call as he waited anxiously. Feng Tianhu, the elders said that we shouldn't get involved in this for now. After all, Chunin has just fallen, and we don't have enough people to deal with Lin Yi. We haven't figured out Lin Yi's situation yet, so we'll just be sending ourselves to our deaths if we act rashly. So, you should think of a way yourself. Chunyang said. Think of a way myself? Feng Tianhu sighed. In fact, he had guessed this would happen. After all, the everyday sect wasn't idiots, they'd just kill someone? Wasn't that just courting death? However, I can remind you that in the ancient times, there was a bloodcloth yellow spring sect. It was an assassin group. I think you should know about it. If you don't have any good people on hand, you can hire them to work for you. Pure Young Heavenly Venerate said no more. All right, that is all I have to say. Blood-clothed yellow spring sect? Feng Tianhu's eyes suddenly lit up. Yes, why didn't he think of it before? If he asked the Blood Underworld sect to deal with Lin Yi, it would save him a lot of trouble. Thinking of this, Feng Tianhu said, I understand. Thank you for your advice, Heavenly Venerable Pure Yang. Good luck. Empyrean Pure Yang hung up and didn't say anything else. He was afraid that this matter would bring trouble to himself and bring him trouble. After Feng Tianhu hung up the phone, he immediately found the contact number of the Bloodcloth Underworld sect and dialed the phone number of the Bloodcloth Underworld sect's manager, Grandmaster Een San. At this moment, Grandmaster Een San was calling Old Man Lin to report what happened here. He told Lin Dongfang about how Pure Een Heavenly Venerate and Dongfang Yinxing teamed up to deal with Lin Yi. Old Master, don't blame us for not reporting back. Why didn't you act on your own? You did nothing wrong. Don't blame yourselves. Lin Dongfang was also shocked and broke out in a cold sweat. If two peak late-stage heaven stage experts really went to cause trouble for Lin Yi, how would Lin Yi deal with it? Wouldn't he be dead for sure? But why didn't Imo Kongwen calculate it before? Why didn't he make a move? This made Lin Dongfang very puzzled. Yes. Could it be that Imo Kongwen had already calculated the factor of the Bloodcloth Underworld sect? Thinking about it, Lin Dongfang felt that it was very possible. After all, Imo Kongwen could even calculate the inheritors clearly. Now that it had come true, under some kind of coincidence, with the right place and identity, Lin Yi could establish a relationship with all the inheritors. Now that he thought about it, Lin Dongfang felt that it was a little unbelievable. This kind of divination technique that could change fate was no longer a simple divination technique. It was almost the same as the means of the gods. After we killed him, we asked Master to help us keep it a secret. In fact, we wanted to give this credit to Master. This way, Master can temporarily be safe for a period of time. Grandmaster Een San said, You guys did well. Lin Dongfang said, however, don't interfere too much. An appropriate amount of danger is still beneficial to Little Yi's growth. We understand. This time, we had no choice. As long as Master can handle it, we will definitely not interfere. Grandmaster Een San said. On the other side, Grandmaster Een San had just ended his phone call with Lin Dongfang when his phone rang again. Those who had his phone number were people from the ancient level. If it was an assassination mission from other levels, they would contact other people in the sect. Hello, this is Grandmaster Een Sr., Grandmaster Yin Sun picked up the phone. Grandmaster Yin Sun, I am Feng Tianhu from the ancient Feng family. I want to do business with your sect. After Feng Tianhu picked up the phone, he went straight to the point. Because the Feng family and the Bloodcloth Underworld sect had no relationship, it was better to get straight to the point. Oh? Who do you want to kill? The ancient Feng family. Do you still need our Bloodcloth Underworld sect to do it? Grandmaster Yin Sun asked with some doubts. I want to kill someone personally. It has nothing to do with the Feng family. Feng Tianhu said, so please help me. Oh? What's the strength of this person? Grandmaster Yin Sun asked. Early heaven stage. Feng Tianhu replied. 1 billion. Grandmaster Yin Sun gave a price. Of course, this price was considered fair. It was basically the price of friendship in the ancient level. Okay, I'll send this person's information to your mailbox. Feng Tianhu didn't mention the fact that Lin Yi could fight an enemy above his level. If he did, it would only make the price of the assassination even higher. Anyway, Feng Tianhu didn't lie to the Bloodcloth Underworld sect. This Lin Yi was originally an expert in the early heaven stage. Soon, Grandmaster Yin Sun's mailbox received an email. However, when Grandmaster Yin Sun saw the information, his face suddenly changed. He was so angry that he dialed Feng Tianhu's number again. Grandmaster Yin Sun, how is it? When can you carry out the mission? Feng Tianhu thought that Grandmaster Yin Sun called to confirm the mission, so he didn't think much and asked directly. Chapter 3170. Feng Tianhu froze. What? Don't you know that Lin Yi can fight those stronger than him? Our heaven-class mid-phase master died in Lin Yi's hands, and I heard that 2 heaven-class late-phase peak masters also died in Lin Yi's hands. Do you want us to be cannon fodder, or what? The Yin Sun ancestor didn't give Feng Tianhu a chance to interrupt. But Lin Yi is indeed a heaven-class early-phase master. Feng Tianhu's forehead was covered in cold sweat. So the Blood Yellow Spring sect had already tried to assassinate Lin Yi, still didn't succeed, and they were well informed. Lin Yi had just killed 2 heaven-class late-phase peak masters, and the Blood Yellow Spring sect already knew about it. Although he knew that the news would definitely spread after he told the Dongfang family, he didn't expect it to be so fast. It seemed like the Blood Yellow Spring sect's intelligence agency couldn't be underestimated. Feng Tianhu, I'm telling you, we won't take this job. Not only that, you will also become an unwelcome person in the Blood Yellow Spring sect. You better be careful, stay at home, and don't go out. If I see you, I'll definitely kill you. The Yin Sun ancestor threatened. You dare to trick us? If you said it was Lin Yi earlier, we wouldn't take this mission even if it was 10 billion. Yes, I'm really sorry, it's my negligence. Feng Tianhu was depressed. He didn't kill Lin Yi and instead offended the Blood Yellow Spring sect. It was all his fault for trying to save money, but now the Blood Yellow Spring sect wanted to kill him instead. Humph. The Yin Sun ancestor hung up the phone. He threatened Feng Tianhu so that he wouldn't come out and target Lin Yi, but he couldn't make it too obvious, so he could only threaten him. Dark Phoenix Palace. After Chu Mingyao officially became the palace master of Dark Phoenix Palace, she settled down in the Dark Phoenix mountain range, in the house that Yuan used to live in. Mingyao had accidentally consumed a Dark Phoenix before, and the Dark Phoenix had changed her constitution, making her the same as the founder of the Dark Palace. So on the first night of her stay in the Dark Phoenix mountain range, the Dark Phoenix mountain range Mingyao successfully accepted the inheritance. That night, the Dark Phoenix mountain range shone with a golden light, illuminating the galaxy. All the disciples of the Dark Phoenix Palace felt this strange phenomenon. Under the leadership of the Grand Elder, they gathered at the training field of the Dark Phoenix mountain range to observe the strange phenomenon. He has accepted the inheritance. Elderly, Yao Yao's physique is really unparalleled, unexpectedly on the first day. He accepted the inheritance. The senior elder was extremely emotional. At this moment, tears streamed down her face. Even though she was a snobbish and mean person, one had to admit that she had no selfish motives. She had dedicated her entire life to the sect. Of course, it couldn't be said that this was right. Elderly didn't agree with the Supreme Elder's character, but there was nothing he could do. Everyone had their own way of doing things. He couldn't ask the Supreme Elder to change it. Fortunately, Mingyao had accepted the inheritance, and her position in the Dark Phoenix Palace had risen. She was truly below one person and above 10,000 people. Moreover, this was just a saying. With the miscurrent position, the Grand Elder might not dare to refute her words. The two were in the Dark Phoenix Palace. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that they were on equal footing. Elder Li's position rose as well. He was Yuan Er's supporter, so naturally, he was also Meng Yao's supporter. The Grand Elder also used him again, and his position in the Dark Phoenix Palace was only below the Grand Elder and Meng Yao. Grand Elder, let's go get the mantra of the Dark Palace and let Yao Yao choose one to cultivate? Elderly reminded. After accepting the inheritance, she could officially start training, and the training speed would be very fast. All right, we'll go now. The Grand Elder nodded and went to the library with Elderly. In actuality, the Dark Phoenix Palace had two high-level arts of the gold element. One was called the Art of the Golden Rooster Cry, and the other was the Art of the Phoenix Silkworm. The Grand Elder and Yuan both practiced the Art of the Golden Rooster Cry, and the Art of the Phoenix Silkworm could only be trained by the inheritor. Yuan was training while waiting for the inheritance, so naturally she chose the Art of the Golden Rooster Cry. I wonder if Yao Yao can train the Art of the Phoenix Silkworm? Elderly said hesitantly as he looked at the two arts the Grand Elder took out. I hope so. The Grand Elder also hoped that Meng Yao could train in the Art of the Phoenix Silkworm. This art was stronger than the Art of the Golden Rooster Cry. Although both could allow one to break through to Sky-class late phase peak, the Art of the Phoenix Silkworm had more benefits. However, not everyone could train in this art. Up until now, only the founder of the Dark Phoenix body could train in this art. The others couldn't. Meng Yao, on the other hand, had the same physique as the Grandmaster, and the way she received it was the same. Naturally, the Grand Elder was looking forward to it, hoping that Meng Yao could train in the Silkworm Phoenix art as well. After choosing the arts, the two went up to the Dark Phoenix mountain range. At this moment, the golden light was starting to dim, and the sky was starting to turn white. Morning was almost here. When the golden light disappeared completely, the Grand Elder and Elderly looked at each other, knowing that the inheritance had ended. And so, the two pushed the door open and entered Meng Yao's room. Meng Yao was sitting cross-legged on the cushion, resting, evidently still in the illusion of the inheritance. The two didn't rush her, and they didn't disturb her. They just stood there and waited. After another hour or so, Meng Yao slowly woke up. She opened her eyes and saw the Grand Elder and Elderly, but she didn't stand up to greet them. She was the palace master, and she didn't need to greet the Grand Elder. Grand Elder, Elderly, you're here? Meng Yao said. I've received the inheritance, and the feeling is the same as in my dream. It's the same as in the records of the Dark Palace. This feeling, it's so mysterious. Can I start cultivating now? That's right. The Grand Elder was pleasantly surprised. Elderly and I came here this time to prepare the mantra for you. I have 2 mantra here. You can choose. With that, the Grand Elder passed the 2 manuals to Meng Yao. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.